it hits 9 o'clock.
And they don't see value in it.
Yeah.
No. It was- Like I find it here, like, I didn't like this now, going in 4 years, it's, not chief of the ambulance, and I said, I keep shaking, I've given up now helping. Like, I'm not gonna hinder, but it's just like, I've been wasting so much energy, like I brought in something, like, you know how, gonna be, have roadworks in the town, I'm gonna have different things, plus there's also, anomalies in streets, numbers and stuff, and sometimes especially where it's. So.
Okay, good morning, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. We will get started here. We start with the Corporate Services Committee, which is basically a budget meeting, and looking for a motion to approve our proposed agenda to work. Moved and seconded. Thank you. All in favor? That's great. Anybody opposed? That motion carries. I'm going to go straight to the CAO to start us off this morning.
Thank you, Chair. Please to state that today we're doing the 2026-2030 budget. One of the things that I directed staff is to try to keep the budget increase to no more than 4% where possible. And there's going to be sections where that can't happen because of contracts in other areas, but that will be explained. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Wayne, the Deputy CFO, to make the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, Wayne, floor is yours.
All right, good morning. We'll just get Adam to pull the PowerPoint up here on the screens. But we'll start at 9 o'clock this morning. We're going to start with regional grant and aids. So there's 7 of them. There's going to be 4 presentations. That'll start at 9:15 and run till about 11. And then there'll be discussion, and then we'll break for lunch. Then at 1 o'clock, we'll talk about full-time equivalency positions, then program change requests. At the end of the full-time equivalency part, we'll go in camera so that the board can have discussions on those before we make decisions. Then it'll move to program change requests. Then we'll hopefully get into the capital today. Day 2 of the agenda will be carry forward from whatever we don't complete today, and then we will have a discussion on operational budget overview. So I sent the PowerPoint out earlier and it doesn't seem to be coming up right now. But on technical difficulties, yeah. I'm just going to run through this now because we are going to be tight for time. So we can go back to this after. But on slide 5, it had the total tax requisition graph, and after non-market growth, which is the percentage that we focus on. Currently, the budget is at 2.25% for the whole of the RDOS. I would like to highlight a couple of the municipalities and areas that, when you look at the percentage change, it looks quite drastic. And particularly, if you look at Princeton, it looks like a 17% increase before non-market growth. That is primarily due to the town of Princeton's Area B, Area G, and Area H have a new transit service called Route 50. And this service replaces the transit that Area G and Area H had before. Princeton's portion of the service is just over $17,000, as you can see in Princeton's Schedule F. When we remove that service, because it's new, and to compare to last year, that 17% drops to 5.86%. Area B's portion of that service is $1,800, and that's not a material to their taxation. Area G's portion is just about $20,000, and that tax increase would have dropped Area G's from 6.57 to 4.86 with the additional service. Area H's portion is about $8,000, and that would have dropped their taxation from the 4.3 to the 3.83%. So the town of Oliver looks like it's in a negative increase, and that is primarily due to 2 things. One, the mosquito control service, there was a correction in the distribution software. And 2, the Oliver Parks and Recreation lowered their tax requisition to be in bylaw compliance. PIB also looks like it has a major percentage increase of 42%. That is due to a correction in the distribution software. Prior to that correction, it would have been about 7%. Town of Osoyoos also has a mosquito control correction in the distribution software. And then for first reading, there will also be a correction to Service 9250, which is the Similkameen Country Development contract that affects areas B and G and Karamias. The reason why there will be a change is there was a bylaw passed in 2025 that changed how the tax rate was charged. It's now charged to assessed value rather than a fixed percentage. And we really should see the slide once it's available, but we'll come back to that and we can look at it after the regional grant and aid. Yeah, but we will probably have to wait to fix this because of the presentations. So anyway, I'll run through really quickly just an overview of the regional grant and aid policy before the delegations come in. So the policy was last updated in 2015, and it's required to be regional in nature, which is to provide some financial assistance to organizations, and it's not to subsidize senior levels of government. Preference for the regional grant and aid are to those who have not received assistance. The maximum amount that is able to be asked for is $50,000, and that no more than 2 regional grants in a 4-year period are allowed. Applicant requirements for regional grant and aid. The organization should be locally based, should benefit at least 3 electoral areas or member municipalities, should fill a need, and funding for that organization should be from other sources other than government as well. And it must align with the RDOS strategic goals. Funding is not available for wages or consulting fees, capital improvements on rented or leased premises, operating or capital deficits, and tax payments. So like I said before, we had 7 grant applications. They're in Appendix 1 of our workshop package. The order is going to be Summerland Museum and Archives Society will first present, then Princeton Community Art Council. They unfortunately aren't able to be here to present, but their application will still stand. Take a Hike Youth Mental Health Foundation will have an online presentation. The Penticton and Area Access Society, then the South Okanagan Women in Need Society, and Summerland Minor Baseball Association will follow that up. The Similkameen Country Development Association removed their application yesterday, so they will not be here to present. So we have about 5 minutes before we actually have the first delegation. Is there any questions or anything that the board would like to answer before they come in?
Okay, Director Monteith?
Thank you. Through the chair, I know a couple years ago we voted to support the food hub. Was that taxed historically, or is that being taxed this year?
I'll let the CAO answer that question.
So that happened a number of years ago. That was taxed historically, and it was put into reserves and drawn from there.
Okay. Any other questions? Director Bush, go ahead.
So you talked about the bus route, and I think you mentioned that Area B is paying so much, but now we're not getting service. So they cut us off the route list. Doesn't quite seem right that we're
Whoa.
paying, but we don't get service.
I'll have to look into that. I don't know operationally how that happens because the bylaw does state that you are in that service. So I'll have to look into that, and we'll modify it by first reading if that is the case.
Okay, Director Roberts,
Used to
question?
be, now we're not. They won't stop cost. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Director
thank you
Roberts.
to the chair. I believe what had happened is they've also, like, they had an on-call that they could have people come off and from driving the route through Karamias and then go into Costin. And they did state that they were going to stop doing that. And then on top of it, in regards to users, like most of my users, I'm getting a higher amount, but I'm being told that they're checking by who's going from where, even though more people are getting on in Karamias. So if it's showing people from Costin, I don't know if that's part of the formula, because again, we're paying a lot more in Area G, though a good portion of what they're saying, the people that are Area G are getting on in Karamias. So however we're going to monitor that going forward, I think it's going to be somewhat problematic too. Thank you.
I suspect that's something you'll have to inquire or have those that are operating it explain those. So Director Coyne?
Yeah, they cut the on-call to Costin, but when we did the original numbers, we pulled where the people were coming from, came from Headley, Olalla. They were coming into Karamias, but there was the stop in Headley, and 48 or 49% of the ridership was coming just from the Karamias area by itself, not including Headley and Princeton. So it was the majority was coming from that end of the valley when they did it. But yeah, the stop has been taken out, so that is a problem.
Okay. Any other questions? Go ahead, Director Barkwell.
Yeah, yes, when you were reading some of the larger changes, like, explaining the 17% for change for Princeton, I was following along in Schedule F1, and some of the percentages that you read were slightly different than what we have on our in the agenda. Was there an revision that we're behind on or something? Could you check that?
I'll have to look at that.
I'm assuming you're referring to what the email he'd sent yesterday with the slide deck?
Sorry, just what came up on the, as the agenda items on the screen here as a link to the RDOS website.
Okay. Any other questions? Trying to get our system up and operating here.
Director Barkwell, what percentage are you seeing?
You went through the numbers of various areas and municipalities, and I don't recall the numbers, but I was just looking at the differences. There were small differences in the, like 0.1 here and 0.1 or 2 there. And I thought, well, am I looking at the rate schedule or is there been a revision? I was looking at Schedule F1, which is the same as F2 and.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you compare your numbers to what comes up at the RDOS link,
It looks this,
they look the same to you?
yeah. But let me look in the RDOS link because that's
Yeah.
the one I'm not.
That's what we're looking at here.
Okay. On the slide deck you'd sent us yesterday, it says 15 point something for Princeton, and I think you mentioned 17. And
Well, I was referencing the before non-market growth, so that's where the
slight difference
difference is, because normally when you look at it, you look at the highest number, and that's what really sets off alarm bells. So that's the one I was hitting on. So after non-market growth, you'd have to decrease the 2%. So it'd be at
15 something. Okay.
Yeah.
Director Coyne.
Yeah, we're okay with the increase. It will decrease our internal budget.
Yeah.
I was hoping that was the case, but I didn't want to misspeak.
Okay, any other questions? I think we're awfully close to being
Yeah, the
having
first delegation now
first coming.
won't be till 9:30.
Ah.
The first one canceled.
Slowly but surely, we're getting whittled down in numbers. The question, Director Roberts.
Thank you, through the chair. When I have like we have rural projects, and when we have things that turn into like a specific bylaw, for instance, I have the Parks Contribution Fund. Where would I find that? Like, is that the Headley Parks?
I'm trying to figure out what your reference.
I have a Headley Parks sorry, I'm waking up. It was night shift, so.
Yeah, no worries.
Trying to blend the numbers. Now,
What
we talked in the past before we had an anomaly, and then we ended up doubling up the pay this year, but it didn't happen last year, and there's no reserve in that bylaw. So I'm wondering, would that have dropped the taxes down last year, and then this year increase the taxation? Or is that somewhere where, like, where is the ebb and flow? Would last year been, or this year, I should say, 2025, been down, or 24 down, and then 25 up? Would that be something that it kind of shows in the changes of percentage? When if something didn't get paid for, but then it was made up the following year? Or does that somehow balance out in rural projects reserve?
So
Just
are
asking.
we talking rural projects area G?
Yeah, so in the rural projects, and then down below that, we have the Headley Contribution Fund that's for parks. So we had that anomaly, right, where all of a sudden it didn't get taken care of the previous year. Then it's been doubled up this year. And I don't believe that one has a reserve.
Okay.
So what I'm wondering is what happens automatically? Does it go automatically to bring down taxes, or did it go into rural projects reserves and then was taken care of? Because I was trying to see if I could find the change, and I haven't. So that was my question. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense now. Now I know what you're talking about. So what happened was there was area G has a rural or a parks contribution to Headley, and they get, I think it's $5,000 a year for doing that service. In 2024, that service did not collect the money. They didn't ask for the money, and we didn't pay them the money, but we taxed for it. So that money was sitting in a reserve and was paid out of that reserve in 25 to the Headley, and Headley also got the 2025 contribution of $5,000. So they were taxed in 24, 5,000. They were taxed in 25, 5,000 for a total of 10,000 taxation, and the service got the 10,000 in taxation.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so which reserve, because again, that I don't believe that that bylaw has a reserve of its own. Did it go into rural projects, or is it was just kind of hanging in limbo somewhere? I'm just trying to understand it, that's all.
Might not have been a statutory reserve. It might have just been go ahead.
So
Yeah.
I could answer that. We have 165 services. One of the things that we do is they have the statutory and non-statutory. It would have gone into a non-statutory reserve, which means that if it could be used for capital or operating, but it wouldn't necessarily have to go to the board, but it would have to be in our books and audited by the auditors. So you would have a non-statutory operating reserve. There shouldn't be no such thing as a capital reserve that isn't statutory. All capital reserves should be statutory.
Okay. All right. Any further questions, or are we prepared to move on now that the system is up and operating?
So our first person is here, and I will get back to you, Director Roberts, on that. We will talk about it. I'm just going to quickly buzz through. This is the page I was talking about that showed the municipal percentages. So, and this is the order here. So I will bring in the first presenter is for the Summerlin Museum and Archive Society. They're requesting $3,588 for a defibrillator and baby change station. They previously have not received a regional grant in aid, and the presenter is Andrew, and I will bring him in.
Yes. Good morning.
Morning. Ready to go?
I'm understanding you're going to give us a brief presentation on your ask, so please
I
go
am
ahead.
indeed. So good morning, everybody. My name's Andrew Holder. I'm the president of the board of the Summerland Museum and head cook and bottle washer and volunteer and all those things that people do at small museums. I'm going to do a very short presentation on our request for some money to acquire an AED and a baby changer at the museum. This one? Sorry, that one. Just to remind you who we are, I'm sure you do know, because we've been around for 55 years. I haven't, but they have. We are there to serve the public through preservation, study, display and education concerning the local natural and cultural heritage. That's our big mandate, and that's what we do. And we do it by collecting, displaying and conducting public outreach activities. We have, in the last few years, developed our annual visitors to about 4,500 per year. That's 2024, 45, and this year is going to be roughly the same. So we have 4,500 people coming through the doors at the museum in Summerland. We have noticed a couple of needs at the museum building. For example, this last fall, we had a huge event outside on the green, just where you're looking there, outside the front door there, the fall fair. About 1,000 people came that day. It was marvelous. You ought to come to this. It's lots of fun. But we noticed, and our curator, who's just had a baby, noticed that there were a couple of families that were, wondering about what to do with their babies to change them. And we have no facilities in the museum, never had. And so she thought, well, that's a good idea. Let's see if we can get some money to buy a baby changer. And the other thing is that we do for our outreach, especially, is we do quite a lot of walking trips and driving and cycling around the town. And I'm involved with one of these. I'm a geologist, ex-geologist, and I give some talks by driving around the town. And I had an experience just this last fall where there were 15 of us standing on a bluff looking across the lake, waving our arms at the geology. And just as I started, a gentleman collapsed right by me. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not ready for this. What's the problem? Luckily, he just had a vertigo situation, and his wife was there, and we got him into the car and all was well. But I thought to myself, gosh, if that had been something else, I wasn't ready for anything. I had nothing with me. I did have a first aid kit, but that wouldn't have helped if there was a heart attack. So we don't have an AED at the museum. And I personally now feel that I ought to bring one with me when I'm doing these trips. So there's the two things that we need at the museum. We've costed them out. An AED with a carrying case and a wall mount can be anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000. But so we've taken the middle road here, and the $2,750 is the cost of a reasonable one, we believe. A baby changer, same thing, anything from $150, which would fall off the wall immediately. You put that one up, I think. But and $1,000, which would be super duper. We don't need that either. So somewhere in the middle. And then there's an installation cost for a total of $35.88. And we believe we need those two things at the museum, and we'll keep trying to find them. If you can support us, that would be just great. And if not, we'll look somewhere else, I suppose. But so that's my little pitch. Good reasons, we think, to have these two items at the museum. And thank you for your consideration.
Okay, well, thank you. I'll just check with the board if there's any questions for you before we let you go. I see a few hands. I'll start with Director Monteith and then Director Bush.
Good morning. Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Could you tell me about the demographic of those that attend your museum and where they come from the region?
Yes, good question. 4,500 people, it seems our statistics show that about half of those are local people, and it's people coming. A lot of schools come in, for example, children with the teachers, and then local folks coming in for various things to look at the museum and also to come to some of our events. But then the rest are out of town visitors. And they could be I've noticed there'll be small families with small children to older folks like me who are interested in the history, and they come through. So we have a whole range. And that day at the Fall Fair, a lot of families there. That was the big one that not shook me, but I realized that, we're right there, and it would be useful to have such a facility.
Okay, Director Bush?
Yeah, so the AED, do you have to have qualified people to operate that?
Apparently not. I looked into that. I have no qualifications, but I'm told that I buy the thing, and there's you can go online and have a course, but you can also read the instructions. Apparently, I'm not sure. When we get one, I'll have a look. But it's it'll be a bit scary, won't it? But apparently not. You can do this. That's the whole point of this thing.
Well,
The other thing is, have you applied to the town of Summerland or whatever it's called?
Yeah. No, I haven't. Not for this particular item.
I mean,
These items.
I think they're both good ideas. It's just a small amount. I'm just wondering if it's something that town would approve too.
okay, we'll discuss that at a later date, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's a good question.
All right.
Richard will be listening to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing any other hands right at the moment, so thank you, sir, for your presentation, and we'll
Thanks for your attention. everybody.
deliberate on it hereafter.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there someone else next, Wayne, or what's the plan?
We're just running ahead a little bit here. So the Okanagan Conservation Alliance, they apply every year for their Meadowlark Festival. Unfortunately, they were not eligible this year because they've had funding the last 2 of the last 4 years. So they were automatically. Oh boy. 9:45 is canceled too, so you guys are getting off easy today.
Okay, let him finish and then I'll go to the hands here in a sec. Question, Director Monteith?
Thank you. Through the chair, how do we know that these projects are regional? Because some of them doesn't feel like that.
It all depends on how the presenter justifies their service. For instance, a museum could be classified as regional because it's not just Summerland artifacts, it's not just Summerland people that go there. It could be things from Osoyoos, things from Princeton, things from Penticton. So it all depends on how it's justified, and it's up to the board to make a decision on if that justification is valid or not.
And I think it also in our rules or criteria says it has to affect 3 or more areas of the RDOS.
Which if you look at a museum, technically it should touch every single area in some aspect.
So, and I seen, was it Director Bush had a question? No, Director Federico.
Oh, thank you through the chair. The Similkameen Conservation Alliance, were they advised or do they know about our individual area grant and aids in case they want to?
Yes,
Yes.
we let them know that they didn't qualify for regional grant this year, but they could apply again next year, and that there is opportunities through community grant and aid if they reach out to the directors.
Okay. Not seeing any other hands, so can we skip back and forth through this somehow to fill the time? Because I don't think we want to sit here for half an
Yes.
hour or
No,
whatever it
okay,
may be.
so if we can bring my presentation back up. I can go through the financial impacts of each one
Sure.
so that we have that covered.
Question, go ahead, Director Taylor.
I'm just wondering, when you say these people aren't coming to present, they're not coming to present, but they're leaving their application.
Yes. Yeah. So Princeton Community Arts Council, we're asking for $3,000, and that was to help with the Copper Valley Music Festival. They also have no previous grants, and you can see their application in the appendix.
Okay.
So this slide here shows the past recipients that applied this year. So you can see the Okanagan Smoking Conservation Alliance at the top there. They had it in 23 and 25. And then if you look down, Similkameen Country Development Association, they removed their application yesterday. So this slide is updated from the one that you received on Monday. I believe Monday's percentage was 4%. If all of these were accepted at the rate that they've asked for, it would be 3.3% increase to general government.
Okay.
The next slide, hopefully.
Sounded like it.
So what I've done this year is to show last year's taxation and then the percentage increase of the current ask to last year's taxation and the impact on the average increase to the residential property. So you can see if all $71,000 of funds asked for in grant and aid were asked for, Penticton would be at 28,000, which works out to 16 cents per average home for the year. And then if you look at area I, it's $2,300 and it would be 13 cents per average household. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the increase would be on a taxation, property tax for when you make your decisions. And also be aware that, yes, it's 16 cents, but if you add all of them up with the asks, it could come to a different number. So. So what do we want to hit on? Okay. So there's
Question, Director?
Yeah, once
Barnwell?
again, the schedule that comes up on the link from the RDOS site, which is slightly different. It says like Penticton 18 cents and 1.02%. So which one is the current? Is this out of date? Something's taken off?
well, yeah, this one was updated because we removed 3 of the grant and aids that.
So is there an updated on the, like we're all connected to the web and at least the updated schedules don't look like they've been updated to the web for us to look at.
That is correct. It was not updated to the web because the changes came in yesterday afternoon and I didn't have time to update the ones on the web. So for first reading, you will have the updated versions that will be gospel. Right now, these are draft budgets, so they are out a tiny bit.
And the changes are minor, but I don't know what other changes there might be too.
I will make sure that I highlight every single change so you'll be able to see every single one for sure.
Director Taylor? Director Taylor, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious. General government has a large operating reserve. Why don't we use that for funding some of this? Because I just wonder how we're ever going to spend that.
Your mic is on, but a little too far away from you. That was all. And I'll go to the CAO.
If we continue using reserves, it's not sustainable. So each year, the board makes the decisions based on the funds that they want to tax.
Just gonna push back a little bit. Like, we've got a big reserve in general government. So I just don't see how we're ever going to use it.
Okay, it's CAO.
Trust me, it can be used. The general government encompasses a lot of different work, and it also includes if we need to upgrade emergency building repairs, et cetera. So a healthy reserve is safe to have, and you know my philosophy. And it does meet the revenue policy for the board.
Director Monteith?
Thank you, through the chair. So it's no surprise, Area D is going to become Okanagan Falls with the remainder Area D of some form or something. When will we see the financials that will reflect that? Because it's a bit confusing right now.
CAO?
So for 2026, there is no change. You will see the changes in 2027, and I'm hoping, because
Maybe.
that's only if there's a letters patent completed. What you will see is a split between Area D, where you have the Okanagan Falls proper, and what's remaining in Area D, which means that the reserves are split, the expenses are split, and that's going to be a challenge for staff to do, but we have a whole year to do it.
Okay, did I see another hand, Director Bush?
So I want to know more about the Summerland Baseball Association. Is there a presentation coming for that still?
Yes, they will be here to present for that one.
Okay,
Having said that, there's going to be a PCR request that the city of Penticton has issued for the 100 Homes Initiative. We have them coming in for a presentation on the 20th.
at the
So
board meeting.
at the board meeting, so we'll touch on it very briefly, but I don't have any details for that project, but it will be brought forward to the main board meeting, and then you can make your decision for the 27th workshop on that.
Okay, Director Monteith?
Sorry, what is a PCR?
Program change request. So the reason why that one was brought forward through that way rather than regional grant and aid is the ask is over the $50,000 a year.
Okay. Director Taylor?
Yeah, we're all asking questions and it seems to be all over the map. And so I'm just trying to clarify something else for me then. The 100 homes application, is that the same as the one that's being debated in Penticton right now?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
It's only 50.
separate, all right. Okay, anything else, Wayne, as far as info, or how far are we from the next?
I will go
Presenter.
take a look and see. 1 second. Okay. So in the meantime, there's going to be 7 full-time equivalency asks. After the presentations for full-time equivalency FTEs, there will be an in-camera meeting that Jim will communicate with the board his rating system for these positions and anything like that you guys can debate. Having said that, the FTE number 2, the cybersecurity network analyst, will be covered in the closed meeting and not in the open session due to sensitivities. During that closed session too, again, there's 2 PCR requests, program change requests from information services that will be handled in the closed meeting as the sensitivity of their issues. So that'll be pulled from the main presentation.
CAO?
So the word sensitivity changes to security. So we don't want the bad guys to know if we have a weak spot, which I doubt.
Which we don't. Good catch, or good cover. Not seeing any other questions right at the moment, so.
So we just verified Take a Hike Youth Mental Health Society will be doing theirs virtually at 10 o'clock. We had them scheduled for. So we're just waiting to see if anybody shows up early to come and present before. Okay, so Take a Hike's not online yet, so we will start with the full-time equivalency requests. So the first one is the senior energy specialist. Does Mr. Koch want to come up?
Thank you very much, Chair. A little bit about this role. Our sustainability manager is on his way too, so he'll likely come in quickly with timing on this and add some additional detail. The role is essentially a retrofit concierge administrator. It is a fully funded position with funds provided by Fortis BC. Essentially, it's looking to provide one-on-one support for retrofit planning and execution, where folks that are looking to make some necessary energy upgrades get the support through this role and ultimately connect and leverage various opportunities that are being presented for different grants for some of this energy work. So it's an exciting opportunity to work with our colleagues in the various communities that we serve, and of course leverage that funding from BC Hydro. So with that brief intro, I will see if our sustainability manager, Fortis BC, my apologies. Thank you for that catch. Absolutely. I'll see if the sustainability manager wishes to add anything.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, my schedule just got shifted. I think echoing what Mark was saying in terms of that collaboration across the region, as touched on in the last board meeting, the opportunity for this role to support our community to improve our existing building stock, and particularly those with low income or essentially in energy poverty. The idea of this project administrator is to be able to support that project and, of course, leveraging off our partners' funding to make it possible.
Okay, questions, Director Taylor, start with you.
Yeah, so who's the typical client for this individual? Is it businesses or residential homeowners? Or local government?
Go ahead, staff.
Through the chair, this is specifically focused at residential retrofits. We do have, through our existing position, funded position, support available for commercial and local government.
Okay, Director Roberts.
Thank you, through the chair. I'd like to add some context to it. For instance, just recently I had a nice phone call with Matt. My daughter's looking at moving into a home and we want to do a retrofit, and I had done the grant process before when we had the federal greener home for my home, but it's really difficult to navigate. So I actually called. I said, I don't want you to do any work, but can you point me in the right direction? And I do see a value in this because there's so many different subtle changes between one grant and another grant, and then trying to navigate as a resident, not knowing the particular language. I think it would be really helpful because so many of these different retrofits come at a cost that the average person can't afford. But if they can get these grants, then it makes it usable. But a lot of times the language, the format, the application systems on the computer make everything that much more difficult. And I think a lot of people that could benefit by many of these grants don't, because they're intimidated by the process. So I really believe that this is an important role. Thank you.
Okay, I've got Director Coyne and then over to Director Barkwell and Holmes.
I got two questions. One, is this the same program that Jeremy worked under? Because he was here under a grant from Fortis, was he not?
Yeah, so we have an existing grant funded role through Fortis BC, the community energy specialist position. So that's in place currently. This is a new ask that we've put towards our potential funding partners to support. So it'll be sitting side by side with that person, but giving more of a residential community focus on retrofits.
Okay, and then the second question is, the position itself is fully grant funded, but are there additional costs that, like always, is there a vehicle, is there, all this other stuff that we're going to have to pay for that are not in the grant, covered under the grant?
Great question. The design of the program and funding request is to cover all costs associated with the program.
Okay, I've got Director Barkwell and Holmes, and then over to Monty.
Since it's fully funded, then it seems like a pretty easy decision. And it also sort of, in a previous discussion, it was pointed out that the people who take advantage of the grants are not necessarily always the ones who should be. The lower income people are not taking full advantage of the grant programs, and this will assist that demographic, I think, that the ones that need it the most.
That's a good point. Director Holmes?
Yeah, thanks. Is it, how long is the funding for? And so is it a term position to match the length of the funding?
Staff?
Through the chair, great question. Funding is still being negotiated, but the aim for this is it will be a term position. So it'll be funding for a period of time, essentially looking at this as a pilot project where it will be reviewed and then considered for future funding.
Okay, and over to Director Monteith.
Director Holmes, you stole my thunder. Building on that question, I don't want to see this happen, but should we not receive a grant in the future, is that employee still then expected to stay? Would it go to general government? Does it have to be an employee? Can it be a contractor? I see that we constantly adding employees under grant funding, but if we lose that funding 1 year, we're stuck at it. So what does that look like?
Staff? And
I can answer that. Any position that's funded by grants is term position. As soon as the grant ends, so does the position for the regional district.
okay. Director Federico?
Thank you, the chair. So would this person then support everyone in the RD, including the municipalities, or do the municipalities also asking for grant funding for an individual sitting at their local government?
Staff?
Thank you. Through the chair, this would be supporting the whole RD, including municipality members, and there is potential scope to connect with the local government, municipalities within the regional district to potentially support funding this, but we're hoping to not need that funding gap filled.
Okay. Not seeing any other hands. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Director Taylor.
Yeah, I got reservations about this. It just seems like it's free. Why would we argue? But this isn't our job. It's not our job. I don't understand really why we're doing this. Why wouldn't we bring someone in for health? Why wouldn't we bring someone in to help old folks get into seniors' homes? Why, it just right over my head.
Staff can.
It's one way to help our clients. So we have 82,000 of them. If there's an area that we can help them, we're taking it to the board and asking, let us.
Director Barkwell?
I understand Director Taylor's point, but there's a structures for health where a grant and a higher person would go, and this is the best structure available for the employment of this person. So I get the point, but hey, it's okay.
It's the where do you draw the line? Director Holmes?
Yeah, we do lots of things that are in our job, and for this, it's helping our residences improve their properties, and one thing that is our job is looking after the properties of our residents. That's what we have jurisdiction over. So I mean, you could argue that we're increasing the value of these properties, which will increase the taxes that we collect, and so it's in our interest to do so.
All right, not seeing any other hands, so thank you for that. We will consider it, I'm sure, when we do the whole group of them.
So as was mentioned, this is a fully grant funded position, so there's no taxation impact. So number 2, we will go through in the closed meeting. This is what the impact would look like to the average property in each of the areas if that position were to be accepted.
Okay.
Do we have time? 10 minutes? I think we can hit this one up. Again, this will be Mr. Koch's team for a facility attendant.
Okay, over to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Chair. This facility attendant is a role that is expanding a current part-time FTE, and to roll that into a full-time FTE, it links directly to the board's recent acquisition of the new corporate facility at 3547 Skaha Lake Road, recognizing the additional work that needs to happen with running the additional facility and also the tenancies that come along with the building. So there's a significant amount of building management work that needs to happen. So I will see if the sustainability manager wishes to add any additional detail to that.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Mark. Yeah, so the key position with this, as you know, the larger building, more work to be undertaken in maintaining and supporting that space. Currently, we have some support for the corporate facility available, but this really strengthens that and ensures that we can respond to staff and our tenants in the building to ensure that we have that operating as well as it can be. And this also means we're not asking for a full person. We've got an existing part-time position or 0.66 position that will be added to make that a full-time position, which adds benefit to the Parks Department. It means they can spread workload across those seasons where they would tend to lay off, and it also brings more facility support in through the warmer months, which would tend to be out in the parks and trails work. So it really adds benefit to, of course, the corporate facility in this case, but also to the Parks Department to be able to manage that workload throughout the year, where and when work needs to be completed.
Okay. Director Fedrigo.
Thank you through the chair. Is a portion of the tenancy rentals and the income coming in from there going to support this position if they're going to be the ones that are interacting with them?
Over to staff.
Yes, so the rental income is coming into the corporate facility budget to support that, so we'll be offsetting some of the costs associated with this position. But it's being funded through the budget, the best way to describe it. Yeah.
Okay. Follow up, go ahead.
Follow up to that then. Which budget is this coming out of? Because most of the, unless it's coming out of corporate facilities, most of us, if you put it under parks, we all have our own individual ones. So just clarification then on where that budget is coming out of.
So clarification is it is coming out of corporate facilities. If this position was used in any capacity in the parks areas, that's where they would charge the actual time. But as you know, the services are all separate, so it most likely will not happen right away, but we would definitely get board approval before doing it.
Okay.
As in, the first year we have corporate facilities, this person will be busy with the corporate facility. If in year 2 and 3 we find this person no longer is fully working in corporate facilities and it can be used elsewhere, that would have to be a board decision to move that workload.
Okay. Follow up, go ahead.
Already follow up to that, and I appreciate that. But then in the presentation, it was this position is going to be used elsewhere in parks and under that department. So just wanted that clarification. So thank you.
Okay. Director Taylor, did I see a hand from you?
Just wondering, we're offloading a couple of buildings. And do we have a role in maintaining those buildings? So would there be a complementary reduction at some point?
CAO or staff?
So in regards to the eventual consolidation of office spaces, the building that we're taking on is much larger than the existing corporate facility. Our other spaces are managed through cleaning, janitorial, security and the like, but the buildings are managed by the owners of the buildings. In this case, we're picking up a larger facility with tenants who have demands and needs that we need to meet, and a larger floor area to as owners, we need to ensure that they're maintained and supported.
Okay. Director Roberts and then Monteith.
Yeah, thank you, the chair. I would assume looking at the facility and being a person that's managed a large and administrated a large facility, comparable if not larger, it's going to take, there's grounds, there's stuff, regulations in regards to sidewalk maintenance in the winter because of a lot more than what we have right now. The leases and the other buildings would have been covered, most like their own facility management. But now we're going to have it all in one spot. I would assume there's not going to be a lot of time left to go to parks. I'm pretty sure this person will be completely enveloped in the needs of that building.
At least for a while. Director Monteith?
Thank you. Through the chair, is this role more administrative or is it more actual operational boots on the ground, changing light bulbs?
Boots on the ground. Yeah. So when works need light bulbs need to be replaced, or if there's a broken window, those items definitely operational.
Thank you.
Okay. Not seeing any other hands, so thank you for that.
All right, so we're close to 10 o'clock and Take a Hike is actually online, ready to present. So they are asking for $4,000. It's for a youth mental health program. Last year we gave them $2,000. And Lene Moore is going to talk to us more about it.
Okay, so if we can bring them online. I think we have Lene, is that how it's pronounced? Can you hear us?
Oh, sorry, you need to unmute.
Yeah, you'd have to unmute, yes.
There we go. Sorry.
Perfect,
I'm
no
just
problem.
trying to get my audio going here. Okay. How's that? Can everyone hear me okay?
We can.
Okay.
Floor
Great.
is yours, go ahead.
Oh, amazing. Thank you so much for allowing me to join your meeting today. My name is Lene Moore, and I am the program manager for the interior region of the Take a Hike Foundation. I have the privilege of working with 5 Take a Hike programs across the interior, with Penticton being one of these locations. And we just actually launched the program last year for the 2024-2025 school year. Within my role, I get to work directly with the staff teams bringing this program to life. So primarily the mental health clinician, the teacher, and the youth worker who work with the group of students that are accessing Take a Hike. I also have the privilege of collaborating with our school district partners who also oversee the school district staff. So as I mentioned, we have a staff team of 3. One is a mental health clinician that's employed by Take a Hike, and then the school district employs a teacher and a youth worker. And yeah, both parties work collaboratively together to bring the Take a Hike program model to life. It is such a great privilege to be able to witness the incredible work of the teams bringing this program forward to students and to see the impact that it holds on youth in the Take a Hike program. So just a little bit of background about the program for folks who might not be familiar. I know that you had generously funded us last year, but just in case you wanted a little bit of a reminder, Take a Hike addresses the need for critical mental health supports by providing vulnerable youth with a full-time, evidence-based mental health and outdoor program that's embedded in an alternative education classroom. So last year, our program launched alongside Penticton Secondary School. This year, we have moved our location, which was always in the plan, but we've moved our location over to the Connect Ed program site, so over on Kinney Avenue. The program is free of cost for youth and delivered full-time in classrooms throughout the school year. And the unique piece of this as well is that there is open access to counseling throughout the summer. So typically where programs would follow the school year calendar, our mental health clinicians are employed through the summer to provide that full-time support to students who are accessing our program. Our distinctive approach integrates clinical therapy supports while immersing youth in outdoor activities in collaboration with our school district partners, to really just be able to lean into place-based learning, to learn self-empowerment, and build capacity to succeed. To give you a bit of a glimpse of what this might look like, our Take a Hike students come to the same classroom every day, and for the entirety of their school day and their school week and the entire time that they're in the program, they are supported by the same teacher, youth worker, and mental health clinician that are working collaboratively together to support students through both their academic and mental health journeys. And so a lot of what I hear from students is that, prior to coming to Take a Hike, many of our students were facing some pretty big difficulties with attending mainstream school. And one of the largest concerns that I heard is that, when experiencing increased anxiety, to have to go from class to class, to have to navigate changing and shifting block schedules, and to be with a different peer group, different teachers throughout their day, could honestly cause them to a point of just not wanting to attend. And so for students that are in the Take a Hike program, they get to come to the same classroom. They have that predictable space that they are arriving to with both a familiar cohort of students that they are building a sense of community and belonging with, but also with the support staff. And so before I go on, I just really want to thank the directors for your consideration of not only our application this year, but your support from last year. And I've had the privilege of being a part of a couple, about 4 program launches now. And Penticton certainly holds a very special place in my heart because of the successes that they had seen in their first year. The big things that stick out for me are the sense of community that was built for these students. We would frequently, I had the privilege of coming in and visiting them in their program sites. And a lot of what I heard from students is that piece surrounding just how much they appreciated knowing where they were going every day and being able to build a sense of safety and community with their students alongside supportive adults that they were able to learn from and increase their capacity in social emotional learning, while also being able to move towards their academic goals. A big part of what we do at Take a Hike is really, we don't just have these goals that we want students to grow into. We want the student to be the leaders of their own journey. And so how Take a Hike measures success is we really want to dig into what does success look like for that student in particular, and how can this staff team of 3 humans wrap around that student to help them get to that place. Some students come in and they might not even know what it's like to set a goal. And so by having 3 humans being able to support them through their journey, both academically and through, increasing their mental wellness and just their social emotional learning capacity, they're able to kind of figure out what their path might look like in a place of safety and support while they are moving into this transition of adulthood. Students can stay into the program for up to 3 years. So we have some students that attend, they start their journey with Take a Hike in grade 10 and they stay until they graduate in grade 12. So they have the opportunity to remain embedded in the program for that length of time. Other students might come into the program in grade 10 and 11 and feel like they're in a place where they want to maybe transition to a mainstream school or move back to the school that they were at before coming into Take a Hike. Some other highlights from last year are the group really got to a place, like I mentioned, where they had built this sense of community that we don't often see until maybe the 3rd or 4th year of a program launch, because they really leaned into the program elements. So like I said, they built that sense of belonging with one another and that sense of safety and just responded incredibly well to that. They ended up getting to a place of being able to go on a multi-day trip together, which is a goal for all of our programs. We typically have not only the mental health supports that we provide day in and day out, but a weekly out day where they are learning on and from the land. So they're going off-site of the school and bringing English or social studies or outdoor ed to a place outside of the classroom in their local communities. with typically the end goal of going on a multi-day outdoor trip together. Typically in programs first years, we move to really slow and just want to ensure that we are moving at the pace that works for both students and the staff team. And yeah, by the end of the year, they were ready to embark on their first overnight trip together. And so they got to experience a camp trip to Idleback Lake, again, exploring their community. We brought out canoes and they were able to just learn from a canoe instructor and have that both structured and unstructured time outside and just learn what it feels like to have fun and be in the outdoors away from, you know, some of the things that they have learned to adapt and cope with in their everyday life. So again, away from devices, away from substances, those types of things. And so that was a huge success for us and a big, like the students were so proud to get to that point. When I was able to come and visit them after they got back, and they were just so incredibly happy that they had accomplished that goal together, because it is not an easy task. We had 4 out of 4 of our grade 12 students actually get to graduation. So we had 100% graduation rate last year, and we saw 17 students in total in our program. 4 of those students that graduated were able to gain employment locally, and we had with 1 student actually accepted into a vet tech program. Sorry, so excuse me, three students were gaining employment and 1 student went to go to a vet tech program, which was part of her academic goals. And so we were so excited to see her move into that space. And yeah, I think this program saw such success because they were wanting to engage in the clinical elements with our mental health counselor. She's able to be responsive in the moment. So if you can picture, students are engaging in academics and they might be facing a bit of higher anxiety while they are leaning into a math class or English, for instance, with the teacher that's there. Our clinician is right there alongside them, being able to respond in the moment, being able to pull them away perhaps when they are getting escalated or if there's conflict amongst the group. That is the beauty of having a full-time mental health counselor with the cohort of students, which, like I mentioned, last year's cohort was 17 students. So she is fully engaged with that group throughout the year and the summer, which is a very unique piece to the program, because there's not this need to book out an hour appointment that you're able to see a counselor once a month. They can literally access in the moment when the need is there and when they are choosing to want to address something, rather than perhaps a rupture happening and then needing to engage in counseling but not being able to access an appointment for a week or 2. So that's a big piece that sticks out within our program. As part of our closing circle of the year, the group engages in this practice that we call Circle, which is just an opportunity to connect, start their day in a safe and predictable way, and also just kind of like transition the day from a soft start to getting into their academics or their social emotional learning for the day. And I was lucky enough to be there for our closing circle, and the question for that day that we had asked students was just what the program means to them. And I have been a part of a lot of circles in my time with Take a Hike, and I am not, it truly, truly was one of the most meaningful experiences I've had, because what the students were willing to share was just, it quite honestly just spoke to what we hope that the program is able to do for students. We had many students saying that, you know, before coming to Take a Hike, they truly didn't know if they were going to be attending school that following year. They had experienced some really challenging things within their experience thus far, and were just in a place of not attending. And we had several students that said, if I wasn't in Take a Hike, I don't know where I would be, but I know I wouldn't be at school. And I know I likely would be doing something that might not be, I wouldn't be in a place of health that I'm in today. And just one more quick note that I want to share as well is just again another kind of personal story of something that our counselor had shared as a win when we're reviewing the year, is that a lot of youth that come into the program have maybe not experienced counseling before in this way, or have maybe like at times they might have had negative experiences. And so sometimes we have youth that are wanting to put the brakes on of like, it feels like a vulnerable place to step into, and to have a full-time therapist embedded in a program is a very new experience. So when our mental health clinician first started, one of the, was doing introductions to all the students. One of the students was like, I'm sorry, but I hate counselors. I'm never going to, I don't really know why I'm here. I don't want to, I'm not going to be engaging in counseling. Nothing against you, but I don't think I'll be accessing the support. Throughout the year, with the mental health clinicians' time spent in the classroom, spent on out days with them, as I mentioned, they're outdoors once a week. So perhaps alongside a youth in a canoe, on a hike, doing rock climbing, or a variety of different outdoor experiences, the clinician slowly just starts to connect with youth in maybe untraditional ways or indirect ways that truly move to a place of being direct. And yeah, slowly started to engage. And the youth started first just chatting with her about what her weekend looked like, connecting about some things that had happened at school, slowly starting to open up about some of the challenging pieces that she had been, experiencing. And throughout the year, this had just continued to grow. And until our clinician was truly the first person that this youth would come to when experiencing a challenge. And at the end of the session and at the end of the year, that same student who said, I will never engage in counseling, I'm not interested, this is just not a part of the program that I'm interested in, she sat with the clinician and was like, oh, is this like counseling? And the counselor was like, yeah, we've been doing this all along together. Like, you've been engaging in counseling. And so it just opened up this new door and possibilities of what support can look like in a bit of a different and unique way. To transition to this year, we have 15 students in the program. As I mentioned, we have shifted our program site, which has been a really great move. They are over at the Connect Ed building in their own portable. And they've been having a great year so far. They have been exploring the local community, learning more about like I said, the backyard of Penticton, so that we can, it's the best thing when students are like, oh, I showed my family this hike that we went on. And it's not about going to like the deepest depths of the backcountry. We really want to, provide students with the opportunity to learn more about their local community and accessible ways to access. So yeah, that kind of like is a broad overview. Again, I just really want to thank you for your time. Thank you for the support of last year. The program has been such a huge success within the community, and it wouldn't be possible without generous donors throughout the community. And so we are incredibly grateful, and I'm open to answering any questions if anyone would like to learn more.
Sure. I'm sure there are some questions. I'll start with Director Coyne.
I've got a couple quick questions. First, you guys work with the school system. Are they funding any of this?
Yeah. Oh, great question. Okay.
It
So
doesn't show on your budget.
right. Yeah. So within our partnership, as I mentioned, the school district provides funding for the staffing of the teacher and the youth worker role, so 2 full-time positions. And then they also provide the locations that the program is in. So last year, we were located at Penticton Secondary, and this year we're at the Connect Ed building. So they provide the space. And then Take a Hike provides funding for the mental health clinician role, and then all of the costs associated with out days, including all of the gear and any kind of like programmatic needs that are present.
Okay. So there's 3 school districts in the regional district, and you're working with one of them. Just curious as to why you're not working with the other 2.
Oh, sorry, with which, like with the other school districts embedded
Yeah.
in?
So there's 3 school districts. There's the Penticton one. There's Penticton, Summerland, and then what's your guys's? Yeah, but what's your Oliver,
53,
Osuias,
yeah.
Caramias, and then there's Princeton, which is part of Merritt, and which is Nicola. So why are you not working with ours?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So we have a team that works with opening new program locations. And so we for the district that we work with currently in Penticton at School District 67, we do have a program site in Merritt as well for School District 58. So that is one of the 5 programs that I work with within the interior. But there's a lot of work, it's really important to us that we engage in conversations with many different school districts. And to be honest, this happens like not within my role, but we have a development team. So they engage in conversations with school districts, with the superintendents, and just see if it feels like a good fit for them. We're not able to open in every school district, but our hope is to continue growing throughout BC. And we've just opened up a program in Ontario as well.
Okay. Director Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. Just following on from that. So is this the funding request to continue the existing program, or is it to expand it to other schools and communities?
Yeah, great.
And then where's when you decide where to run the program, is that who decides that? Is that the school board that decides, or do you talk to them together?
Yeah, great question. So this funding specifically is to be able to continue our existing program to help support the costs of shifting into group and family therapy, as well as continuing to provide direct one-to-one support to students. The funding also goes towards some of our outdoor activities as well. And to answer your question about how we decide where we are going, it's exactly as you mentioned, it's a partnership decision. Like it is a big, it's a big decision for school districts to be able to provide staffing for a program like this. And so it's a collaborative decision-making process. We will, it can happen in many different ways. Sometimes superintendents will hear about the program from other districts. They want to engage in conversation, and then we get into a conversation that way. But oftentimes, we look at different communities that have a need, and we will try and see if we are able to grow into their districts as well. But it is a very collaborative decision making because it requires a great deal of commitment, and we don't take partnership lightly because a lot of our emphasis on our program is to provide consistency, to have the opportunity to build attachments to the staff teams that are there, and for the students to have that consistent process. So for us, it's really important to ensure that we can have a program operating sustainably in a community to ensure that we are there for the long haul.
Okay, I have Director Monteith and then Director Roberts.
Thank you. Through the chair, I actually heard some youth talking about your program a couple weeks ago, so word is out there within the youth, so thank you. I guess I'm curious to what was in place in School District 67 before your program came to Penticton?
Oh, that's a great question. Like, do you mean what kind of district
For the
program?
Connect Ed. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm not a school district employee, so I don't know that I can really speak to that. But I know that they were operating an alternative education program. And they were also, I believe, operating a land-based learning program, which we have collaborated on now. So the former land-based learning program teacher is now working within Take a Hike, and we have sort of like collaborated to embed that program within Take a Hike because we had a lot of similarities. But in terms of the nuances of what exactly was there before Take a Hike came in, I, as I'm not a school district employee, I don't want to misspeak on any of those pieces.
Okay, Director Roberts.
Thank you through the chair. In regards to support, let's say the community is Summerland, and they have people that are in their school district, is it possible for people in that school district to apply to come to your program that it's in Penticton? Because again, thinking regionally, again, sometimes facilities, the amount of staff, they can take certain numbers, and you don't necessarily have to create another facility or other base. But are you able to provide your services to the outlying communities that maybe have their own school board?
Right. Yeah. So our partnership is specifically with School District 67, so with Okanagan Skaha. And so we can provide services for all of the students that would be within that catchment district. So although the program is based in Penticton, we can connect with any of the local communities that would typically be within School District 67. So sometimes that looks like trying to figure out creative ways for transportation, or just ensuring that we can be accessible for all students. So although we are at, like last year, for instance, we were at Penticton Secondary, we can see students come into the program from various different school sites and locations that are within School District 67. If it was outside of the district, then in that circumstance, we would look to see if there is a need within that district, and then look at future partnership opportunities if there is funding present for that.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and thank you for your presentation. I'm not seeing any other hands here or questions, so one more just online. Director Coyne Senior, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. This is a terrible question to ask you, but tell me why the people at Manning Park should subsidize the program in Penticton as a regional program. I totally support your service. I've been involved in Princeton with similar sorts of stuff, but not with that, just through the regular schools. But tell me why people from the outlying areas like that should support your program, because it's going to cost them all a few cents on their taxes.
Right. That is a great question. Thank you.
The sales pitch is on you now.
I would say because our program has the opportunity to create real change within so many aspects of a youth's life that can carry on to their adulthood. So perhaps we're seeing youth that are not engaging in school, might not want to participate in education, and therefore might not be engaged in the workforce or any of those pieces. And so I think, although we're asking for funding that might not be directly for the Manning Park, what you had mentioned there, that there's a possibility that our youth that have accessed the program might land there one day. They might be moving there. They might be shifting to different communities. And so our hope is that, as we mentioned, that they're not only learning these skills for themselves, but they are going to be able to pass these along to their families, to maybe their, the connections that they hold as they grow and shift throughout life. And we think one piece here, so I'm just going to pull this up, by providing, that critical early intervention and preventative mental health supports, not only do our youth see the positive impacts on their health and wellness immediately, but the change often does create that ripple effect, like I was mentioning. The number I was looking for here is that our organization went through a study with PwC, and what we were able to look at is that every dollar invested in a Take a Hike Youth generates between $5.60 to $13.40 in social return to their communities. So I know that might not be directly answering your question in terms of like why Manning Park to supporting the program in School District 67, but we do really, really believe in the power of the program to impact generations to come. And we have had actually like alumni, we've had parents that have had their children come through Take a Hike because they had such a positive experience and they were able to learn and grow so much from it. And so that's been a really cool transition to see, because I should have mentioned this actually in the beginning, that our first program iteration was in Vancouver, and they started in 2000. So we have been around for quite a long time, but new within the interior. So this is a new regional hub for us. So we have, our program hub in Vancouver. So there's 5 programs there. And then we also have a regional hub in the lower mainland, in Vancouver Island, and then the interior.
Okay. I have one more hand, or it disappeared, but Director Gettins, did you have a question?
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to follow up from Director Bob Coyne's, sorry, I was gonna like Boyne's question. And there was a few years ago, we were talking about transit in West Bench, and somebody had asked, why should they pay into a bus system to get someone else's kid to like a part-time job at McDonald's. And, you know, and if they should or not. And the answer was, yeah, you do. Like, we do all need to kind of pitch into some of these social fabric things. And it is a few cents, but it's that whole idea of that social together we're stronger type thing. So anyways, I just wanted to share that because I get what you're saying. It's hard to justify it. But yeah, I think things like these do have impacts that we can't measure. It's just too difficult to measure down the road.
Yeah. And we do try to explore communities as well. So perhaps we could bring our youth over to Manning Park and like have them learn about the community and to grow in that way. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for
All
that.
right, I'm not seeing any other hands. So again, thank you very much for the presentation, and we will consider your application later today.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you all so much.
Back to Wayne. Go ahead.
All right, the next presenter is here. They are the Penticton and Area Access Society. They're asking for $5,000 for the Little Red Book distribution, and the presenter will be Lucy.
Very much. Hi, everyone.
Hello, and good morning to you. And
Thank you.
you're free to start with your presentation whenever you're ready.
Perfect. Okay, so got all my paper the wrong way around. That would be helpful. So I'm Lucy Whitaker. I'm the Executive Director at Penticton and Area Access Centre. So I'll tell you a little bit about the work we do overall before I jump into this specific project, the Red Book. So there is an amazing network of support agencies across this region. And however, knowing how to access that support can in and of itself be a barrier, particularly if you're in crisis mode or you don't have access to the internet or a phone. So that's where the Access Centre comes in. As the name suggests, we're here to help people access the support that is available to them. So that is resource and referral to other community partners, as well as the programs that we run in-house, which cover legal advocacy, so assisting community members with tenancy disputes to make sure that they can stay housed, income supports such as disability applications, pension applications, helping people fill out paperwork that can feel a little bit daunting, and sometimes they're not even sure what support they're eligible for, as well as our year-round volunteer-run tax program, which in and of itself brought $19 million back into the local community last year in the way of credits, benefits, and additional supplements. So that's always a nice glamorous number to bring out, very tangible in terms of the money brought back into the community, which of course helps everybody. So with that, with making everything accessible, a big part of that is the Red Book, which is what we're talking about today primarily. This is a resource. I brought some here. Hopefully some of you are already familiar with it. It is a book that has as comprehensive as possible a list of all of the different resources that are available within the community. So it's ordered in two separate ways. So you can go to, for example, I need food, and we've got all the food resources. Or if you are within a different community, you can say what supports are available in, let's say, Osoyoos, and go to that page. So kind of having those two separate layouts to try and make it as easy as possible to people to get to the information that they need as quickly as possible. This resource is even more important in the more rural communities, where it's harder for them to get in person to make that first step. You know, they can't just pop into downtown Penticton and come to, for example, Access's office just to be told, actually, you need to go to Sowens or whoever else we might want to direct them to, and they can pop across town to get there. So having the Red Book in their hands in those areas so that they can take as few steps as possible to getting the support they need is really crucial. It's been going for over a decade. I actually managed to find one of the very first ones today, so that's kind of cool to see how it's progressed. You know, the first one over a decade ago was very kind of homegrown. It had lots of kind of hand art in it, and now we've kind of upgraded it to a look that I think a lot of people in community will recognize as the Red Book. Funnily enough, I think the Red Book of Resources has better brand awareness than the Access Centre itself, but that's a problem for another day. So who benefits from this? As I said, the individuals in the rural communities really benefit from having this in their hands, as well as the outreach partners who go and serve these communities. Let's say you're doing outreach work in Keramios maybe once every 2 months. You might not have the Rolodex in your mind of resources that are readily available to people in that community. So outreach workers being able to take this along with them and have those resources at their fingertips really supports them. And that's direct feedback that we get from outreach workers. I think twice in the last maybe 6 months, I've had Interior Health reach out to us twice separately to talk about how we can get this out into those areas more and get more awareness of that resource in those outlying communities as well. It also helps community partners across the district in the way that they get hopefully fewer referrals that they aren't able to support with because people are going directly to the right place. I know that's a common source of frustration when you get a referral that you can't support. That person turns up, they've maybe traveled there, and you have to tell them, sorry, you need to go to this other place. That's not a good experience for the community partner or the individual that they're trying to support. So making referrals more relevant and freeing up the community's partners' time so they're spending less time doing resource navigation for those incorrect referrals. So how do we get this out into the communities? We do staff outreach visits. We have resource and referral drop-in sessions. Primarily, our outreach is focused in Summerland, Oliver and Osoyoos. That's where we go on a weekly basis, but we do take calls from all over the region. And then once we have, say, 1 or 2 people in, where haven't I used as an example yet? I think I already used Keramios, but let's say there. Once we have a few people in Keramios that have reached out, our outreach worker will go down there for the day and they'll arrange a resource and referrals drop-in session, which will advertise. So anyone from within that area can come in without making an appointment on that day and ask any questions that they have, get help with any paperwork and get the referrals they need to take that next step. We also, when we go to those areas, we work with community partners. We attend local events and speak with the public and distribute the book. For example, this year we were attending farmers markets across the region, which is something new that we haven't done before, to primarily hand out the Red Books and just make sure that people in those communities were aware of the resources that were available to them. On average, we handed out around 20 books per market. And it's a really good way to kind of engage with the public and give them something tangible in their hands that day. We also distribute to local partners and they help us gather feedback as well. They can tell us if the information is outdated and we kind of keep a track of all of that. And then promoting through community newsletters and partner organisations. And then we'd also, something that we don't have that we would love to figure out a way to do is have functionality potentially on the website for people to provide feedback on resources that are outdated. Because at the moment, moving on nicely to kind of what is required to make this happen, it's all done manually through our staff. It's quite a time heavy process to, when we're doing an updated version, reach out to all of the partners that are in the book, make sure that the hours and services they offer are up to date, as well as finding new resources in the areas. I know there is certainly work that we could do to make it a more comprehensive list in some of the areas in the region, but that of course comes down to having the time to do that. So staff time to maintain it, the staff time to do the outreach, to drive to these communities, spend time talking with members of the public and the community partners there to educate them on these resources, distributing it, the mileage, of course, as well, the printing costs. We want to keep it as up to date as possible, and things are always changing. So the fewer the more print runs that we can do, the better and the more accurate we can make the information. And then in terms of other funding sources, so as I think it mentioned in the initial proposal, HSA has been funding this since the beginning. They're already on this very first one that I brought in. We also have advertising within the book itself, which helps to fund it, as well as charging community partners for bulk copies. So it's always free to the end user who needs the resources. But if a community partner wants to have them in their office to distribute, we do charge $2.50 or less per book, and we'll always be flexible with the payment plans. Like, you know, if it's another bootstrapping charity that can't afford that, but they're doing the good work of getting it out there, we're not going to charge them so much. But that does just help cover the printing costs and help us make it self-sustaining.
Okay, thank you. There was some hands early. I've got Director Roberts and then Coyne, and I'm starting the list. Go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. First off, good work. I worked for 25 years running residential programs for youth at risk and in the Similkameen and Penticton area as well. And one of the biggest resources I used was the Penticton Community Resource book that used to come up. And it was a free access to a book that I could then get those updates. And I used that for 25 years. And then when I, in the ambulance service, condensed some of those things, made hard cards and used them to hand out to people in need. So it is very important, and I support you 100%. My question is that, you know, looking at here in regards to some of your other documentation was kind of stating around salaries, which of course, when we're granting, we don't grant towards salaries. So from what you were just saying, is this specific grant going to the hard costs in regards to your development or the continued development of the Red Book? Thank you.
So salaries are a part of what we overall need funding for this grant specifically, since it doesn't cover that, it would go towards the hard costs. So yeah, the printing, being able to do, as I said, smaller print runs more frequently would allow us to keep it more up to date. But of course, there's economies of scale. If you're running a smaller print run, it costs more. So we'd love to do that to make it more accurate, as well as the mileage and the kind of marketing around it as well.
Okay, thank you. Director Coyne Jr., go ahead.
Yeah, Director Roberts kind of touched on what I was going to ask, is because it does say in your application that $5,000 revenue from us, but your expenses are $8,000 in wages, $1,000 in travel, and $1,000 for printing costs. So it does appear on your budget that it's for that. And if you guys are able to put it solely into the hard costs, I mean, I can get behind that, because I think we need, especially in the Similkameen side, we used to put together our own brochure, huge cost to us, and we haven't been able to do it in the last couple of years. So if that was a possibility, then I can support it. But if it's for wages, and it does go directly against our policy, unfortunately.
Okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. And yeah, there are the hard costs that go alongside it with the printing and the mileage, and with if we wanted to look at moving it away from salary for some of that additional $3K that we've asked for, we could look at this kind of automation of that resource collection. As I say, right now is a very manual and therefore time-consuming thing, but I'd love to move that towards something that was more sustainable without needing that time and without those salaries. So using potentially some of that funding towards looking at a way to digitize the back end of it a little bit more. I don't know if that's off the top of my head within the realms of the funding. Yeah.
Okay, there's a couple others here with questions. Director Holmes and then McCordoff.
Yeah, thanks. Just two questions, if I may. One, is there an online version of the book? And secondly, it's great that you go to like farmers markets and all that sort of thing, but really when you're talking about distribution, wouldn't it be more cost effective to rely, to lean heavily on those partner organizations in the communities, you know, the food banks, libraries, doctor's office, whatever, that they can all do that distribution for you?
Absolutely, and we do, yeah. So these are in the libraries, in all of those places that you mentioned, in health centres, doctors' offices. It's actually really surprised me the number of organisations who find it useful to have these in their offices, even private businesses. You know, law firms will sometimes have people coming to them that can't afford a lawyer, but they need one, and this is a useful resource for them as well. So the reach of people who can help us distribute them is actually even wider than you would first think. And we definitely do rely on that. So we do distribute them to those areas as well. The farmers markets was just one example of how we want to reach the public directly ourselves, as well as relying on the community partners.
Okay, great. Director McCordoff.
Yes, thank you very much. I attend our farmers market weekly, and I've never noticed that the group has been there. So maybe it was a time that I missed. I noted that when you mentioned it. I'm wondering where else, other than I'm assuming the last question was answered, that you leave them at doctor's offices, interior health. I probably haven't looked for it, so that's why I maybe haven't seen it. But I'm wondering how often you update it. And the reason I ask that is that that we in the town of Vesuvius have put out, you know, lists about things and asking people to sign up to do events so that we don't overbook and they all end up on the same day. And we found it very difficult to update that list and keep it current. So I'm just wondering how often you do this and where you get that information. And do you ever add things to your list depending on who contacts you, and how do you decide that? Thanks.
Yes. So I realized I think I missed one part of the previous question as to whether it is online. Yes, it is online. Currently, it's just a PDF version of exactly the same thing that the physical copy is. So that ties into the current question as to how frequently do we update it and what does that process look like. So right now we update it. We try and update it once a year. We're behind that schedule at the moment because we still have some left. We were kind of optimistic in our print run, which, as I said, we want to do smaller print runs more frequently. So we're due an update now. And it is a very manual process of calling the organizations in there, asking them for up-to-date details, because even, you know, a lot of these organizations, as I can understand firsthand, you know, sometimes your website is buried in priorities. So even your website might not be up to date. So we make sure to call them and get that information firsthand as to what they're currently offering, what their hours are. And yes, we do add new resources, either our advocates, they're always, of course, looking for these resources to refer people to. So when they come up, we keep a list that can be added to the next edition. I would love to get to the point of going back to having it online. The online version being a dynamic version, which was up to date every time we get a new resource or we discover some different hours. We can update it on the back end and it shows on the website. In a really ideal world, it would be, you know, someone could come to the website and say, I need help with, you know, and they select clothing, for example, and then it will just pull forward those resources for them, and you can filter by area and make it much more of a dynamic thing. That's not within kind of the scope of budgets at the moment, but that is kind of where we're hoping to get to that point, so that the online version can be more dynamic.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing any other hands. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we will consider your application later in today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Back
there's
to Wayne.
2 left. So this next one is the South Okanagan Women in Need Society. They're asking for $5,450 for her Path Forward program. And the presenters are Erica and Allison.
We do have a, what is it called? You have the, we're getting our slideshow.
Adam's probably bringing it up now. Well, good morning and thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome to start whenever you're ready there.
We'll just get it. It should be. Pardon me? Okay. We're just waiting for it to come on the screen, so it should be there. Ah, here we go.
There it is.
Perfect. Right. So good morning and thank you for having us here today to present. We appreciate it. My name is Erica Marcus-Polyak. I'm the Director of Programs and Services at SOWINS. I've been there since 2000. And this is Allison Markin, who she's been helping us with a grant application. So thank you for coming here today with me. So SOWINS has supported women and children and families across South Okanagan and the Similkameen for more than 40 years. We're actually coming on 45 years. Our mission is to provide safety and support for those who have experienced gender-based violence. Today, I'm here to speak about a program called Her Path Forward, a regional empowerment and employment readiness program designed to help women rebuild their lives and regain economic stability after abuse, which is built on a prior program we had that was called Explore. I thought I'd begin today by sharing a testimony from a prior program participant, and we hope the next version leads to more of this kind of empowerment. So this client said, through Explore, I learned how to set boundaries and goals for myself. I've been so isolated. These workshops helped me feel like I could get back out there again. I even started volunteering, which opened doors to a job I never thought I could get. More than anything, I learned to believe in myself again. This program was truly life-saving for me. So SOWIN operates as a regional nonprofit. We do outreach, housing, and prevention programs that reach communities all throughout the RDOS. This includes Penticton, Summerland, Oliver Asuyas, and Princeton. Our organization has a really strong record of managing public funded projects with transparent financial oversight and measurable outcomes. We have built trusted partnerships with local governments, funders, and service agencies to ensure programs like Her Path Forward delivers meaningful and lasting results. Switch. Okay. One of the biggest challenges that we know women face when leaving an abusive situation is economic insecurity. Many have limited income. They have gaps, of course, in their employment, or they have damaged credit. These barriers can prevent them from achieving independence. In some cases, and actually lots of cases, they return to unsafe situations. Especially in rural and smaller communities across the RDOS, access to practice, trauma-informed employment, and financial training is really limited. Her Path Forward was developed to address these gaps. It helps women to regain confidence, to rebuild financial skills, and move towards having sustainable employment, all within their own communities, which is so important. By helping at-risk individuals build positive financial footing, this program can assist with general economic security, economic development, one person at a time. This program consists
of one 8-week session, serving up to 8 women at a time. Workshops are developed weekly, and there's 4 main components. Financial literacy, which is needed, of course, to cover budgeting, saving, debt management, credit rebuilding, all tailored to the realities that survivors face. Other things like employment readiness, resume writing, interview preparedness, digital literacy, job search strategies, delivered in partnership with Work BC, which they've done with us before. Personal development, focusing on confidence, goal setting, time management to rebuild self-esteem and motivation. The 4th, mentorship and coaching. So having weekly one-on-one or small group check-ins, which is essential to linking participants to additional supports like legal aid, childcare, housing resources when needed. By the end of the week, 8-week program, each participant develops a personalized plan outlining next steps for employment, education, or entrepreneurship. What we expect is at least 75% of the participants to complete employment readiness activities and apply for work or training. And all participants will identify at least one personal and one professional goal to guide their next steps. Besides these metrics, participants in similar programs we have had delivered consistently report feeling more confident, capable, and have a connection to their communities. The programs benefit beyond individual participants. As women gain independent stability, they're contributing to the local workforce, they're strengthening their families and reducing liability on emergency or social programs. The total cost of this program is $16,370. SOWINS, though, is requesting $5,450 from the RDOS Regional Grant and Aid Program to help cover costs, participant materials and workbooks, technology access such as a laptop, phone for digital participation, rental of a community meeting space, program coordination reporting. SOWINS will contribute in-kind resources such as staff time, office space, administrative support, and outreach to recruit the participants. We are also pursuing complementary fundings from foundations and other public programs to ensure this initiative continues beyond the session. Your investment helps make this program accessible to women across the RDOS communities, particularly in rural communities that often have limited access to employment and life skills programming. Accountability is a key part of SOWINS programs. We will evaluate her path forward with pre and post program assessments, facilitator observations, and participant feedback surveys. Progress is tracked by measurable outcomes such as financial confidence, job search readiness, and self-reported well-being. Upon completion, SOWINS can provide the RDOS with a summary report outlining participant outcomes, community reach, and use of funds to ensure that there's transparency and demonstrate the rate of your investment. In closing, her path forward, it's practical, it's cost-effective, and regionally development program and helps women move from financial uncertainty to economic stability and independence. By supporting this initiative, the RDOS is helping to assure that women across our region can access opportunities for growth, employment, and financial literacy with confidence. This isn't just a social investment, it's an investment in economic participation, family stability, and regional well-being. Thank you very much for listening.
Well, thank you for the presentation. There's a few questions. I'll start with Director Coyne.
Thank you. This sounds like an amazing program. My only question is, so if somebody's coming from Princeton or, you know, in one of the other smaller rural areas, do you have places for them? Because I'm assuming it's going to be ran in Penticton. Do you have places for them to stay and whatnot? Because it is a huge cost going back and forth.
So in the past, like we can't provide hotels or, and they can't be accessing our shelter for that. But in the past with the programs, what we have done is we have had gas vouchers for participants. So like that is, and that's a good question because it's really important to reduce as much barriers as there are. So, we've had gas vouchers, we've had food vouchers in the past too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, good. Any other questions, Director McCordoff?
Yes, thank you. I was just thinking, I'm from Esuias, and so we have Desert Sun Counseling providing a safe home and quite a few of the same the opportunities down there. I'm wondering if it's available, if it was somebody from one of the outlying areas, is it available online? Could they attend via Zoom or do they have to be in person?
That's a good question. And just so you know, we have done the groups in Esuias before. That there is that possibility, but looking at it from like a trauma-informed perspective as well, I'm not quite sure of how much they're going to get from it in the same way, because part of that, the importance of connecting with other women in the same situation. During COVID, we have done groups, but it's that community what's so important.
I'll just add that one of the funders that we're looking at for this program is to fund a virtual component if that funding comes through.
Okay. Not seeing any other hands right at the moment. So again, thank you very much for your presentation, and we will consider this later on. Question, go ahead, Director Coyne, before we let them go.
Yeah, sorry. You said if you get the funding, you're going to do it for the virtual. Would you then be able to open that up to, say, 3 or 4 people in Princeton or 3 or 4 people in Esuias if they had a supportive place? So say family services or somebody in Princeton was able to supply the location, and then you could have, say, 3 people from Princeton that then they're in a group setting, they have that peer support and whatnot.
So I just want to get clarification that I'm hearing you right. So you're saying, could we like have an actual physical location in?
Yeah, because you said if you get the funding, you want to do a virtual part of it, right? So if that's the case, instead of the people driving from Princeton, if you had, say, 3 or 4 women that wanted to be part of the program, but there's barriers and whatnot. But if, say, family services through Sharon or somebody could support them at a location, would that be something that you guys could possibly do to expand on that? Because you could get a lot more people, right?
I'll just answer this with a bit of forward thinking as the grant writer that supports SOANs. I'm going to add that to a grant I'm writing this afternoon. Quite honestly, because we have a number of grant applications that are sort of sitting. Some of them are delayed in responding, and that's just par for the course right now. But I think if there was a partner in a rural community where they had the space, certainly if we had the components and the technology to do it, and that's what one of the grants that we're waiting for a word on would support that. But if there was some place in another community where they could gather and we could do it virtually, I think that is something that I'll plug into another funding application.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. We will deliberate on this later on today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And I'll turn it back to Wayne.
And last but not least, we have the Summerland Minor Baseball Association asking for $50,000 to support the Field 96 project with the scoreboard. And the presenter will be Melissa.
Good morning, and thank you for attending. And
Morning.
I'll just let you start whenever you're ready.
Great, thank you. Will my presentation
I
magically
think
appear?
Adam is
Okay.
working on it at the back, so just give him a second.
Perfect.
It'll show up on the screen.
Well, I can just begin anyways by saying my name is Melissa Taylor, and I just want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you today on behalf of the Field 96 project and Summerland Minor Baseball Association. I'd like to begin with a short 3-minute video, which I think just very succinctly encapsulates a little bit of the history of Living Memorial Park, which is where Field 96 is located, as well as the seed of inspiration for the project in its current form today. So if we could, oh, that's me.
Looks like it's coming up.
Okay.
Summerland. It's as pretty as it sounds. A quaint little town nestled in the heart of the Okanagan, the fruit basket of British Columbia. With its sprawling vineyards and picturesque orchards, Summerland boasts a long and storied history dating back to the late 1800s, a history founded in agriculture and baseball. Following the Great War, Summerlanders built a field worthy of their hometown team, the Merchants. Construction began in 1947 and was finished in time for the 1948 inaugural season. The field was unlike anything around, complete with grandstands, floodlights, indoor plumbing, a concession stand, and even an electric scoreboard. Home games were standing room only, and baseball was all anyone talked about. As the years passed and municipal budgets tightened, the once decorated Living Memorial Park fell into disrepair. The grandstands, once packed with the excited chatter of baseball fans, were demolished in 2015. The concession was shuttered, and the scoreboard went dark. Despite the condition of our fields, Summerland remains a baseball community. This was never truer than this past 2024 season, which saw a ragtag U15 team win the local South Okanagan Championship. With the community behind them, the U15 Dodgers overcame the odds, beating a previously undefeated team in a back-and-forth final. Celebration quickly turned to grief, however, when only weeks later, the heart of this championship team, a wonderful young man named Hendrix Taylor, passed away suddenly. Hendrix, or Hendo as he was affectionately known by his friends and teammates, was our big number 96. He was a gentle giant, and he loved baseball more than anything. Hendo always struggled to fit in at school and in social settings, but not on the baseball diamond. In the dugout, everyone was welcome, everyone was valuable, everyone was accepted, including Hendo.
Yeah, buddy! Run, run, run! Run, yeah!
Youth baseball in Summerland is thriving, and the Summerland Minor Baseball Association is juggling multiple teams at each age group, doing their very best to keep baseball accessible to anyone interested in playing. With increasing enrollment, the 3 diamonds at Living Memorial Park are at capacity during the season, but without significant facility upgrades, the numbers of players will have to be capped in future years. As a community, we are committed to investing in our children through sport. We are committed to providing our children with an accepting place where they could feel welcome, find success, and experience friendship. We are committed to the namesake of Living Memorial Park as we seek to honor the living memory of our big number 96 by restoring this once proud and celebrated facility. With your help, we can ensure that baseball continues to thrive in Summerland for generations to come.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing here. Okay. Thank you. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of a story from sort of that point forward. So if we were last year at the park, this is what it would look like. And you can see it's really in a state of disrepair, and it is not equivalent to other communities within the regional district or within other communities that our teams have played upon. In December 2024, with a hope and a prayer and a vision for a better field, we launched a GoFundMe. And within a couple of months, we had $70,000. We're now over 90. Concurrent to that, we applied for grants and held multiple fundraisers, bottle drives, and all kinds of things. We went to the District of Summerland and Mayor Holmes there and played Let's Make a Deal. And we proposed that if we were to be granted the very coveted and highly competitive Blue Jays Field of Dreams Award, that would the District of Summerland match the donation, to which they had some deliberation, and then I feel we got an enthusiastic yes to that. So we learned in May that we were selected as the only community in BC to receive the award, a $185,000 grant from the Blue Jays Field of Dreams Fund. So it took what we had already raised at that point, probably about 110,000. It took our 185 to 370 with the District of Summerland, and really we were in a position to begin starting the field. What's been really cool has been that, as the kids would say, Field 96 is trending, and all over Summerland you see these shirts. But what I really love is that this picture here with the baseball team, that's a Samba team. So South Okanagan Minor Baseball Association, which includes Naramata, Penticton, Oliver, Osoyoos. I had so many teams reach out and say, we want t-shirts for our team, because they know that most of their games are going to be played against Summerland. And so the use of these fields and the invigoration of these fields really benefits throughout the region. So we've had Samba, as well as West Kelowna and Kelowna, just really get on board with this project, follow it, support it. And another quick story I want to say about the bottom picture, the middle bottom picture, is there's a young man in there who came up. Sorry, this one always gets me a little bit upset, but he said, my wife and I just got married, and he's like, I literally dream about being a dad and coaching on Field 96. And I was like, this is really hitting hard. Like, this is really getting to the core of something in people, that we just want to do something for our kids. We want something in our community that's a source of hope, that we feel proud of, and that we can celebrate, and that we can share with our neighbors. And then Summerland showed up. We had so many businesses and contractors come to us and say, how can we get involved? And we were like, could you build the dugouts? And they would come, and they would most of the time bring a crew, and they would bring the supplies. And so things that should have cost us $10,000 cost us $500. We had Red Seal carpenters from all over the community, some still in school, just coming on a Saturday and saying, let's reside the bathroom. And even lots of unskilled laborers saying, hey, can we set up some fences? What can we do? We want to be involved. And then the professionals arrived, and we realized that what we had hoped to do in order to get our field in shape, which was to just kind of level it out and overseed it, was not going to be sufficient, and that our field was not going to sort of hold the test of time as it has for the past 75 years. And so we undertook a huge project to bring it back, rebuild it, get it done properly, source baseball dirt so that our kids aren't coming home with constantly scraped knees and elbows. And so this has all just happened this year. And today, Field 96 is turning into a showstopper. This is the field right now. We've got a brand new pitching mound. We've never had a batting cage in Summerland. We've got a batting cage. Our fences have been raised. The field's been enclosed. You can see the bathroom renovation there. We still have to paint, but we're waiting for the spring. And it's just been a phenomenal transformation in a really short period of time. Like, in less than a year, this time last year, we had $0, and now we're here. So today's ask, it's a big one. We are asking for $50,000, which would purchase a scoreboard for the field. We see scoreboards at fields all over the province where our kids play, and we do not have one. They are expensive. The $50,000 would include purchasing, delivery, installation, and electrical connections. I did want to show you just quickly here where we've earned our money to date. So we've earned about $612,000 in the last 11 months. I do acknowledge that with your funding that there is less consideration if we've already had some other level of government funding. But I do want to point out that in the overall budget, it's a generous donation, but it's 17%. So it's a really big, it's a really big budget. And so we would really appreciate, further support from the regional district and just to recognize the importance of this field. And I just want to end this with sort of a sad note and a happy one at the same time. But we've lost 3 young men in our community to suicide in 14 months. And I just received a text today from a mom who said her daughter, who's 12, is struggling and that her counselor's worried. And she wanted to thank Summerland Minor Baseball Association for all we're doing to be a light of hope and to keep kids engaged in sports. And so I just want to say that I feel that this project is so important because it's a source of hope for within the region. Even Princeton has reached out to us saying, we are doing everything we can to get our baseball up and running and we want to come and play on Field 96. And so we're in discussions with them about how can we support you to get your baseball up and running. And what I love about baseball is that at any age, you can start. You're 17, you've never picked up a bat, come join House League. We'll show you how to do it. It doesn't matter. And if you want to play at a higher level, we're developing that. You can also go and play in Samba if you're really, really good and they have higher levels. And so we all work together and we don't maybe fully understand what is going on with our youth. But what happened in Summerland isn't just a bubble. It's happening all over. We are losing kids. And again, we don't know all the answers as to why, but we do know what's protective. And what is protective is sport and being outside and being with friends and family and having great adults in your life and being off your screen and being supported and being loved and going to a field that makes you feel proud. And so I feel really strongly that this project is just so important for our community and our regional district. And I hope you'll consider it. I know you've had many important presentations today, so just humbly ask you to consider ours as well.
Well, thank you, Melissa, for the presentation. I'm going to just check with the board if they have any questions they might want to ask. I think you gave us a lot of information, but Director Bush, go ahead.
Yeah, so is this just for baseball?
Yes.
So slow pitch and fastball play somewhere else?
They play, yeah, they have another field.
And is there 3 fields there?
There
Can't
are
remember
3
yet.
fields there, yes.
So are you gonna fix all 3 up? or-
That is the plan.
Girl.
We have done some minor improvements to the other ones already. When the communities come out, they're like, hey, let's go paint over here too. So they're already getting an upgrade. But the Field 96, which was formerly Field 2, is the kind of the premier field for the older players, and it was in the worst state.
Yeah, okay. We'll see you there. I got grandkids.
Awesome.
Go ahead, Director Ryan.
Yeah, thank you to the chair. As a baseball dad to a 13-year-old, we're at Summerland quite often, and those fields have absolutely just been garbage. And we ended up playing in a summer game there, and we ended up buying about 25 of the shirts. And the story is absolutely incredible. It's heartbreaking, but what you've done with your parent organization to get where we are now, to get that Blue Jays grant to make national news, I just want to give you all huge credit. It's been an incredible year, and what you've done with those fields, I can't say highly enough how impressed we all are. Thank you.
Right. I think I'm not seeing or missing any hands, but again, thank you very much, and we will definitely consider this later today.
Thank you. I just want to say, regardless of the outcome, the Field 96 opener will be April 18th, and we'd love to see you there.
Oh, well, thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
Turn it back to Wayne.
All right, that's a wrap for presentations. So if we get back to my PowerPoint, Adam, please. So this is the overview of the asks from today. So we have the Summerland Museum and Archive Society asking for just over $3,500. Princeton Community Arts Council asked for $3,000. Take a Hike is asking for $4,000. The Princeton Area Access Society for $5,000. South Okanagan Women in Need Society just over $5,000, and then Summerland Minor Baseball asking for $50,000. This slide here shows the impact if all applications are accepted at full value, but it is now on the board to discuss and decide which ones they would like to support and for how much they'd like to support.
Okay, it's probably best we deal with these one at a time, obviously, and start with the first one. So if we
I'll
could
take us back one slide there.
Yeah, if we could get that brought back, there we are. So it would be the Summerland Museum and Archives for request for $35.88, but go ahead, Director Coyne.
Who owns that building? Does you guys do? So can I ask you a question on that? Had you guys buy the change tables for your facilities, or like, I just, I know we do.
We try not to have too many babies in Summerland. We like older people. God, I don't know. This is the first I've heard of this myself, right? So yeah, we provide the museum with an operating grant every year. Do you remember how much it is, Richard? Yeah, 60,000 a year. So and they're responsible for the building, look after the buildings.
Okay, follow up, Director Coyne.
So I'm just curious, would you guys fund one of those AUDs and AED and a table? Because to me, that's kind of, I mean, we have them in most of the facilities in town now, and we've actually standardized even with some of the nonprofits so that the batteries can all be replaced at the same time and whatnot. It just makes it cheaper in the long run. So just before we get involved, is Summerland interested in that?
Go ahead, answer.
Sure.
So I'm surprised they didn't come to us first. As I said, it's the first I've heard of it. Maybe Richard's the liaison on the museum board, so maybe he knows more about it than I do. But we have put AEDA stuff around town, and I know some. I know there are other funding. Organizations can get funding for AED things, and the change table. It's. I personally wouldn't support this.
Yeah.
With my regional hat on.
Yeah. Director Monteith?
Thank you through the chair. I want to point out with the AED, often fire departments have a society, and that's a really great spot to get an AED funded.
Okay, Director McCordoff?
Thank you. AEDs are pretty expensive. We certainly have some certainly in our arena and town hall, but we also have one that is at the Sonora Center, and it is available for groups to use, such as when you go on a hike or when we have Cherry Fiesta. And that is available for people to use and return after. So I'm not sure because I don't know Summerland well enough to know if there's one close by, but I think that that is a consideration as well.
Okay. So is direction on this, like kind of Director Monteith,
I'll make a motion, to accept it.
and recommend they go to the city or
Yeah,
town of Summerland
anywhere.
first.
The district of Summerland.
Okay, well, unless someone's absolutely opposed to that, we'll do that by consensus, I think. The next one up is Princeton.
We're gonna do this with Princeton.
Yeah, so the Princeton Community Arts Council Society, unfortunately, they weren't able to present, but their ask was for $3,000 for the Copper Valley Music Festival.
Yeah, okay, Director Monteith,
Motion not to accept this one.
see this more as community versus regional, okay? Seconder for that, or is there anybody opposed to it? And we'll just, seeing no hands, okay, we'll accept it by, or reject it by consensus. Take a hike.
Youth Mental Health Society
Yeah,
has asked for the 4,000, and that was to support their programming.
okay, and last year, what?
Last year we gave them $2,000.
Okay, so Director Coyne, Senior, go ahead. I'll go to him first.
I would support that one.
For the full amount, are we asking?
Yep.
Saying?
Yep.
Okay, so some moving it for 4,000, is any discussion on it? Go ahead, Director Coyne Jr.
I don't support this. It's only, I don't see it as a fully regional program. I appreciate it. I think it's great. I'm gonna go after my own school district now that I know that they have it in Merritt and they don't share that over into the Princeton side, which really kind of irks me, but I see it as something for over here and it's not gonna support the rest of us. So I personally can't support it as is right now.
Okay, Director Roberts.
Yeah, thank you, the chair. Same as Director Coyne Jr. My role in the school in Karamias at that time was very similar, and that was something that they themselves cut. And again, that's a whole other school district, and I think it's something to be able to have these other groups come up to bat. But just the funding model, if it was something that, for instance, somebody lives in Summerland could apply to the program, and, you know, even though they go to the other school board, and that was specifically why I asked that question, because they are, it's a very good program. It's very useful and I'm very supportive of that. But I think they have to have a different model to have access to other people, because really it's only for those in that school district.
Okay, Director Bloomfield and then Taylor.
Thank you, and I will be supporting it because we've just heard in the last presentation that even in Summerland they've had 3 youth suicides. This is youth mental health that we're talking about. This is one of the primary concerns of anybody who's dealing with the addiction, mental health and addiction services throughout the province, and capturing these issues at an early age is critical. And I know that in a recent survey that we did of one of our shelters, 65% of the people that were in the shelter came through the youth care system. And so youth mental health is a critical issue in my opinion.
Okay, Director Taylor, and then I've got Director Gettins after that.
You know, I don't think there's too many of these projects that benefit the whole region. Manning Park, anarchist, I don't think so. We've defined it though as just benefiting 3. And I'm presuming the municipalities count and electoral areas as well. So I think we meet that criteria. And secondly, I think you got to start somewhere. I mean, a program like this doesn't get started in all school districts at the same time. You start in one, and if it's successful, it goes to a second or a third. So yeah, I would like to see this go, and I'd like to see the other school districts support it in time as it becomes more successful.
Okay, Director Coyne, you wanted to comment, and then back to Roberts. Okay, sorry. Yes, Director Gettins.
Thanks, Chair. I'm going to support this too, but I also just want to say I hear what Director Coyne and Robert said. So I would like to see it come to the Similkameen community as well, and would encourage that once it gets to that district to come back to the board and remind this board of the regional discussion when it comes to that valley as well. But I am going to support it, but I recognize the gap there, and I just wanted to appreciate that.
Okay, Director Coyne.
So I'm going to get real personal here. My son is in an alternative program. My son has mental health issues. My son is the perfect candidate for this. But it's not that I don't support mental health. It's the school districts are dropping the ball. And I'm going to be brutally honest here. The school districts are not funding their programs. They continue to cut, especially in rural communities. They continue to cut our mental health supports. They go online. They do all these things to not support our kids. This program is amazing. I wish it was in every school across British Columbia, if not Canada. But at the same time, the minute we start as another level of government, start taking on the responsibility of the provincial government and the school districts, we are opening ourselves up to a very big door that I don't think we'll be able to hold back what comes through that door. And the school districts need to start taking responsibility for our kids because it's their jobs, especially when it comes to their education and how that unfolds. So I totally support the program. I want it in my community. I will fight for it in my community, but I don't think that it's our job as the local government to support the school district doing their job. They don't support us doing our job, so it should be vice versa. It's my council's going that we don't fund school district programs anymore. We used to. We don't do that anymore. So I know this is a hard one for me. I really, really appreciate the program. But at the same time, it's not supporting Summerland, which is in the school district. It's not supporting necessarily the kids that are going to school in Naramata, which is part of the school district. It's just the kids that can get to Penticton and go to school here. So it's not, I get it might, but it's not, to me, a regional program. And it's not something I think local government should be doing. It needs to come from the school district, and we need to get the province to support the school districts properly.
Okay, Director Roberts, and then Monteith.
Thank you through the chair. And similar to back that up, it's again, I'm a 100% in support in regards to youth mental health. It's something that I put 25 years of my life into. And much of it, 15 years of it was the exact same program. And then 10 years in the school system where, exactly as Director Coyne has stated, the school board decided to cut the program. So this is, there's no conflict in it. I just really think there is enough areas in surrounding Penticton School that are affected kids from area F, from area E, from area D, from area I. And I thought that if they went through the rural grant and aids and individuals, I would love to see this organization specifically set up in the Similkameen or someone in like kind. But, so that's where my heart lies with this type of programming. But again, I'm just thinking that maybe the funding process, and again, we need to be putting pressure on the school boards to maintain. There's been programs from going back into the 70s, Vernon School Board worked really hard, and I worked alongside one of their programs for years. And again, it was supported through their school district.
Okay, Director Monteith?
Thank you through the chair. So I fully support the program. I don't support it coming as a regional grant and aid for a couple reasons. Number one, Area I may be very unique in that I have 2 school districts in my area. So if I support this, I'm cutting off the other school districts from applying in the next year because they're not eligible due to receiving past grant funding from a regional project. So if we really truly want a regional project, accepting them today is eliminating the Similkameen and the South Okanagan from being able to have this project funded through the regional district system. So I can't support it, knowing that that would be a direct impact.
Okay. Obviously, we're not going to get consensus on this one, so it's going to have to come to a vote, but I'll let Director Barkwell speak and then Federico, and then I'm going to call the question on this one.
Director Monteith brings up an interesting conflict that it isn't there yet, because there isn't a program in the other schools. So so we're not limiting anything. And there's sort of a conflict too, in that I do believe that it touches, per our policy, enough districts and communities that it should qualify, because there's very few that are going to hit 100% of them. But then the conflict is that if this program was in Princeton, it wouldn't qualify because it wouldn't touch enough regions, and it would be just as valuable to them. I don't know, maybe we have to kind of rethink our funding policies, but I think it fits now and touches enough, and I'll support it.
Okay, any other discussion, Director Holmes?
Yeah, I guess my only issue is.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Is as Director Coyne said, is where I don't think it fits our policy, and this is where I struggle with, is that whatever the policy says about other levels of government and whether they're doing or not, and they're not. I mean, the school board is another level of government. The Ministry of Health, that's who the youth and mental health clinicians who are involved in this program, they're another level of government. So, we don't have to follow our policy, but we should acknowledge that if we're funding this, and maybe that's why we only did 2,000 last year, so we're not the primary funder, but it's not following our policy in my eyes.
Good point, Director Federico. Sorry, I missed you the last one.
No worries. Thank you, the chair. Yeah, I mean, I can kind of go either way on this. I think it's a nominal enough amount that if it was to go to just the areas that are within SD 67, that'd be Summerland, Penticton. And a few of us rural, we could cover that cost and just keep it to us. I hear where Director Monteith is coming from, because if they wouldn't be able to come to us next year and ask for funding if they wanted to start this program in the school districts south. So they are limiting themselves to being just for us in this area in SD 67. So if we don't fund them regionally, it does give them that opportunity that to expand, they could come back to us to ask in the other school boards. And I'm not so sure that this program would happen in our school boards if there wasn't a foundation spearheading this. Our school boards have been cutting EA positions and other such things that support our students. And so for this to be a foundation that's had to go into the school boards to ask for it to happen, it wouldn't happen without them. Our school boards wouldn't do it. So, I mean, I could go either way on this one, but I'm happy for this, a portion of it to come out from grant and aid from Naramata. So.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for a show of hands for those in support of the $4,000 ask for them, and then we'll see where it lands.
Can we determine what kind of vote this is? Is it weighted or unweighted?
At this stage, it's just a show of hands, so we know whether it, because as usual with these grant and aids, today we might turn it down. Someone can bring it back at our next budget meeting. So always keep that in mind. Never a worthless vote. It's giving us a point in time as to whether we think we can afford it or not, and maybe we can't at a later date. Director Roberts, quick question.
Yeah, thank you. Do we have the ability somewhere along the line here to say, to look at funding it differently by having it in all the areas affected in School Board 67 to do it? Because it is nominal
If,
amount of money.
if
but
we
we're looking-
turn it down, I suspect that the letter that they receive would show that as an option. And I see nodding, so I'll go to Noel just to clarify.
For sure. We can let them know that they can apply to the Community Grant and Aid Program.
Okay, and Director Gettens, I see a hand, or is that a leftover?
No, I just want to say I appreciate Director Monteith's comment. I think that's a good point, and Director Federico, I support that as well. So if we could just keep it in and bring back more discussion on that. We've been asking for a while to have those grant and aid conversations at a board table. Maybe it's that rural table, because I think there is some if we can get it coordinated with some of the impacted rural areas, then maybe we can move some of these things along for exactly this reason. So I'd like to see this conversation continue. I'm happy, like Director Federico, to support it either way, grant and aid or through this one, or the what, you know what I mean, the whatever the community one is.
Yeah. Okay, so as a show of hands, so in support of this for the 4,000 as a regional grant and aid right now, raise your hand. And I'll just get a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. You getting? And Director Gettens, that's a yes vote?
Yep, it is.
Okay. I get 10. Is what you got? Hold them up higher so we see them. I seen. And 11. 10? 10, that's still ties. Right. No, well, yeah. Tentatively, it's a pass. Well, there's one missing, so that's gonna make it carried. Yeah. Well, we'll count the against hands then as well, so. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is showing, that's it. So at the moment, it carries. And now remember that's at the moment. The Penticton Area Access Society. Someone want to speak to that? Go ahead, Director Coyne.
I mean, I think this actually fits for the most part, our criteria. It meets every region, every area of the regional district. So I'll make well, they said that they'll change it. She said she would.
That's a little concerning at the moment on that.
I'll fund it later then.
So you're moving the full 5 or? Okay. Go ahead, Director Holmes.
I think we should make it 2 where it's pretty clear in our policy. We don't support staff and well, I think, 1,000 for the production, 1,000 for the travel. So I suggest 2,000 because the rest is all staff time, is all salary.
That's the way it's showing at the moment. Yes, Director Taylor and then Federico.
What if we invited them to restate whether they were using contract workers or not? Because if they could contract this out, then to me, it looks like a good initiative.
It's a possibility, I guess, but Director Federico?
I think you did, Chair. It's similar. I was just going to ask, because right now it's just a preliminary conversation. Can we go back to them and ask for an adjusted budget and then make this decision down the road when we receive that?
I'm not sure how, or if we've
Earmark it,
done that.
yes.
Noel or CAO?
I can't remember too many times that we've done that, but I don't see why we can't.
Okay. at the moment, it's a little uncomfortable with the way it sits. So Director Holmes, a follow-up and then.
I think just give them $2,000. I mean, we've done this in the past lots of time, haven't given the full amount that they requested. And so we give them what fits in our policy. And really, when you're talking about distribution, little books, you know, come and bring me a stack. I'll bring a box back to Summerland and distribute it. No problem. You know, like come on, it's not that, it shouldn't cost that much money to distribute little books around the region. You know, really, let's be serious here. We can help out.
Yeah.
You know,
Director Monteith?
Through the chair. So having a volunteer center is my full-time job. Organizations have to purchase the book to distribute them. So that's been a holdback for me to be able to have them at the volunteer center. Even though we get asked for them often, I have to send them somewhere else to get them. So that's a struggle for me. So one of the things the volunteer center has done is we now have a commercial printer. Organizations that are nonprofits can print at our center at a reduced rate. So that's how I can support them. And I'm hoping to build a partnership with them so that they can have that outreach. But if they're charging organizations to distribute, that's not getting it out. And that's what's happening. And I know that a physician also turned it down for that exact reason. Having it in the office, they'd have to purchase them. So it is a bit of a situation.
Okay. Director McCordoff?
Yeah, thank you. I remember asking her if it was online, and she said that it really wasn't properly online right now. I think that just shows a little bit of a concern, and I would be in agreement to funding it for half the amount. But I certainly couldn't support the whole amount, but I'd rather see it online and updated more often rather than having to run around. And I never saw her in Esuias, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't there, but I never saw her. Thanks.
Director Coyne?
So I got a novel idea. We could give them the $2,000 and then we could buy a number of them to distribute through our communities if that's the case. That's what Director Roberts and I are talking about for the smoke mean is doing it through the SVPS and buying them and to distribute, because if people have to pay for them. I know from experience, the one that we had, if you put it on, we had less, believe it or not, the people that are use this aren't going to use an online version. It's the print version that they utilize. It sounds crazy, but it's the way it is. That's why we used to make our own.
Okay, I'll go to the CAO.
As she was leaving, I invited her to be part of our pop-up offices as long as the books are free. So that would be able to distribute throughout all of the 15 areas.
Good suggestion. Director Roberts, and then I'm going to.
A follow-up to Director Coyne and to speak to the digital versus the hard copy. The hard copies we used to have were a lot bigger, and these what we had is the South Similkameen Education on Substance Misuse, and we did that with the Village of Karamias. We had a group, and we took pretty much the information from that and just consolidated onto a quick little bookmark handout, all the phone numbers, because it's, you know, it's at the clinic, it's, you know, I handed them out on the ambulance. So, because you're running into people in crisis in the moment, you have to have something that you can give them rather than say, hey, go back online.
Okay, we've had the suggestion. Director Gettins.
Thanks. I would do the half amount as well. I think that's a good compromise, and I just want to just share my agreement about that. The value is the hand and being able to hand something out. It's a conversation rather than asking someone to get out their phone or go online later. So I know it sounds counterproductive to where we are, but it is a true thing. But I'm happy with the half amount as well. And sorry, and I like the idea of buying books too. The regional district, I think that's great.
Okay, so half amount of 5 is 25, but we've had suggestion of 2,000. So
Okay, sorry, 2,000. That's good.
I'll go with the $2,000 figure since that's been the suggestion to start. So those in support of 2,000, put your hands up now, please, and put them up high so it's an easy count. It carries at this stage easily. Okay, great. South Okanagan Women in Need Society. The ask was 5450. Director Roberts?
I'm in support of this. Again, very similar to the last one, except we also understand that this organization works throughout the region. You know, I think each one of us can say in our personal lives that we know women in need for this very specific thing. And I think it's a very personal and a very necessary. I'm in complete 100% support of providing them 100% of what they're asking for.
Okay, any other discussion on it? Director Bush?
Yeah, I'm in support of the society too, but I look at their cash that on hand and term deposits, like well over 700,000.
Yeah. Can you refresh our memory what this was specifically being requested for?
It was for a new program they were putting out, and it was about a third of the cost of the program.
Okay. Director Klein?
Yeah, I mean, they do have money in the bank, but that's because they run shelters and numerous programs across the region that need to have secure funding. So starting a new program like this takes new money, and that's why I'm 100% behind it. I think this is a good program. Talking to them in the hallway, they are going to look at an online if they can get the extra funding for that, and how we can do that across the region. So I do a lot of stuff that people don't know I do, but I mean, I was in a meeting the other day with our crisis, the lady that does our safe homes and all that. And while we're in the meeting, she's taking calls like and she's taking calls not just from Princeton. There was people from out of town calling, looking for shelter space and support. These supports are invaluable. I mean, for just under $5,500. I mean, if we can help people coming out of these type of, situations, I think it's the least we can do.
Okay. Go ahead.
Thanks through the chair. Apologies for being late. I wasn't actually supposed to be here, so you can't see me now. Having been on the board for Sowens for a number of years, I can tell you that they have an incredible reputation for being really fiscally responsible and stretching a dollar more ways than most of us would be able to, and provide invaluable services. I think that their longevity in the community provides the credibility that we would be looking for. It's tough to do one-offs in terms of being the foundational founder or money behind new programs, because their continuity is based on future funding. But if we can help them to launch something and give them a year in order to secure more consistent or long-lasting funding, I think that'd be worthwhile. Thank you.
Okay, well, it looks like there's general support for it, but we'll take it by consensus unless someone's absolutely opposed. We'll speak up now, but I think it should probably stay on at this stage. And I think, there's only the one left, Summerland Minor Baseball. The bigger ask, but go ahead, Director Johansson.
Yeah, I have to admit, before coming here today, I would have found it difficult to find a reason to support this, but after the presentation, I think this is an awesome project, and I think it's a success story, and I think the regional district needs to be part of that success story. Thank you.
Okay, Director Holmes.
This is closed?
No.
I don't have anything to say.
All right, Director Coyne.
Shockingly, I'll support this, even if it is for Summerland. Just kidding, guys. No, there's a lot behind this story and whatnot, and but I think this opens up another thing that we should probably look at, and that's recreation across the region, whether it's run by the municipality or the regional district or some of these nonprofits that run it, and how do we support youth athletics in general in the region. And I would like to make the suggestion that maybe we have staff come back later and present an idea on how to support athletics that fall outside of the regular expenses that the municipalities and the regional district have.
Okay, Director Roberts, and I've got several on this side.
Thank you through the chair. Yeah, it's quite this. It's similar. It's a kind of a weird one when you look at it and you're thinking off the top. Well, this is in Summerland. It's just this hard cost. But I was thinking during the time of the discussion, and I did see the presentation on the news when it came out. How do we like? Again, like what Director Coyne was saying, deal with recreation that's outside of like the different societies, the other things that we do and share. The Similkameen fastball and baseball was a huge part of the area. And Cobo Park in Costin is managed now by the regional district. We lost the ball diamond at Memorial Park in Karamias. Headley had at one point in 1973 one of the premier ball diamonds with, like they were stating, lit, irrigated, concessions, the whole works. And then it was vandalized in the 80s and never came back. And that town had two separate diamonds and had large ball tournaments. And then ball tournaments between Princeton and that. So it's again something that we have as a resource within different authorities throughout the region. But that's an idea. How do we work collectively? Because for instance, if we support this initiative, how can we support another small community? Because again, that's how we're thinking. It's just like, how do we create that? Because a lot of times there are difficulties in our grant and aid process, like we were talking about other governments, the Samhain issue there. A lot of times that's an organization that multiple levels of government would want to support, and we have to be able to have that ability. So I'm in support of this as I look at it globally through the region as a way to see how can we support the other recreational venues that we may not own throughout the district.
Okay, I'll start with Director McCordoff and then Bloomfield and Graham.
Thank you. It was a very emotional story that was told, and I certainly appreciate the fact that they have received a lot of money for various reasons. I get it. They're obviously a very organized group. I don't see that this is something that Asuyas could support. And not that I don't agree with providing sports programs, but we're trying to do that in the town of Asuyas and in Area A. And I think that $50,000 to be given to Summerland, and I'm not saying the community, but if that's where the area is, I don't see players from Asuyas going up there. That's a fair distance, so you might have a few that would do that. I just think we have a hard enough time in our own communities trying to keep up the hockey. The regional hockey now is now in Penticton versus Asuyas. So that affects our economic development. It affects the use of our arena. We have baseball fields in Asuyas that are used by many groups, and we certainly appreciate that, and that's something that we choose to do. But $50,000 is way over the top from my point of view, so I can't support it.
Okay, Director Bloomfield.
Thank you, and I will be supporting this, and the reasons for that are that historically these types of fields were built and developed by service clubs, and those service clubs they either no longer exist or they no longer have the horsepower to pull off projects like this. And so we either, if we're interested in building communities, and that's what we're here for, is building communities and maintaining, the vitality and the vibrancy of these communities, then we have to look at funding these projects. And I think that what they've come and asked for in the grand scheme of things is reasonable. And I think that, these recreational facilities, they are regional. There's people from other areas other than Summerland that will benefit from that field. And, whether they're visiting teams, whether they, join a club and play there, there's going to be a benefit to the area, because it's difficult to maintain a league if they don't have facilities throughout the area. So I think that, I think we need to look at this, and we need to think regionally on these recreational facilities. So I'll support it.
Okay, I've got Director Graham and then Taylor.
Yeah, thank you to the chair. Just speaking personally, like my son plays competitive U13, summer, spring, and fall and winter. My son's summer team compiled of 2 people from Princeton, 3 from Osoyoos, 2 from Oliver, and then the rest Penticton. Princeton, Oliver, Osoyoos have facilities, but they don't have baseball organizations. So certainly this is definitely regional. Samba is at max capacity with respect to enrollment right now, where they're looking at adding through U15 down to U8, 2 more teams per division. That said, this ask is big, and it pains me it's going to Summerland. But I can categorically tell you this is a regional asset, because my son plays on a team that's diverse through this entire region, with kids playing on his team, traveling. It's an investment into that ballpark that will see the fruits for the next 25 years. So I'm in full support of it. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, Director Taylor.
Yeah, I probably should have asked this, but if anyone at the table here can answer, who's in the Summerland Baseball League? Is it just Summerland, or does anybody know that?
Maybe Director Graham can answer.
Yeah, I can speak to it. I'm pretty involved with Samba in the behind the scenes. So currently Summerland, it had a few players coming to Penticton. Some weren't allowed to come to Penticton and some were. That was last year. So this year, it'll be very, like, if you live, kind of like setting boundaries, but certainly to your question, it will be a regional asset because there are no other organizations. So you look at other communities, they might have facilities. OK Falls is a great example. They have beautiful fields. Oliver has beautiful fields, but they just don't have the organization. So that's why you're seeing so many kids from other communities. Like we had Chase from Princeton and his family coming down. Like, it's huge investment for them driving down an hour and a half for their son to come to a baseball practice and a game. But yeah, certainly within the organizations, that's kind of the missing piece. Is Summerland doesn't have, or sorry, Oliver doesn't have theirs now. Osoyoos doesn't have theirs now. And especially Costin and Karamias, there's very good ball players from those communities that are all coming here. So regionally, that field in Summerland, those 3 fields, we'll probably see a 250% uptick with tournaments. They'll be able to host tournaments. So regionally, yeah, you're going to see a lot of youth coming into the Summerland region.
Okay, anything further, Director Taylor? Director Coyne, and then Bush?
Yeah, so going off of what Sue said, and then what our Director McCorduff said, and what Director Graham said. So like with minor hockey now, it's regional, right? The new zones is Summerland's not part of the zone. It's Penticton south to Osoyoos over to Princeton. That's where our kids are playing, or they're playing as V's now. Like, they're not playing as South Oak or Princeton. They're playing as V's. Baseball is the same thing. We have there's some football over here. There's soccer and lacrosse that we can't do in our communities anymore. And that's why I said I think we need to look at how we're doing this regionally, because it's not in our control, but the leagues that are running our sports programs are going to these regional governance, or whatever you want to call it, where our kids are being drawn from all over the place. Summerland kids go play hockey in West Kelowna now. That's where their home ice is. It doesn't come here, which makes no sense to me, but that's where it's going. So, you know, one of our parents coaches the Penticton U13 Tier 3 team. They're making that commitment. This is a regional thing now, and you know, it is what it is. We can't get enough volunteers to run a baseball program. We have 3 fields, and we can't get anybody to run the programs. The municipality can't afford to hire the people to run the programs, so our kids are coming over here to play ball. Um, it I mean, I get it, it sucks. But at the same time, the reality is the less volunteers we have, the the more expensive it becomes to play youth athletics. Our kids are traveling more, and I think we need as a district to start looking at how are we going to support our youth. And this isn't school stuff, this is extracurricular, this is our kids. So I'll support this, but I do want to see us as an organization figure out how are we going to support our kids in the fields and arenas and whatever that we have across the district, because our kids are playing all over the place now. And if we don't, our rinks are going to sit empty, our fields are going to sit empty, and before we know it, we don't have hockey players or curling and all the rest of it.
Okay, I've got Director Bush, Roberts, and Gilbert.
Yeah, I'd like to support this, but $50,000 is a big ask. And, but I think, you know, I would support more like half of it, but, these ball games are gonna go ahead whether they got a scoreboard or not, so it's not that big a deal, but I do think we should support it.
Okay, Director Roberts.
Yeah, thank you to the chair. And that was just a follow-up, or similar as Director Coyne Jr. had stated. I think we have to look at a lot of how we manage these types of things, not only the financial way we deal with it, but how it affects each. Like I don't know the answers. I'm looking more at, we'll keep this on. We know we have a chance to have more discussions. Very similarly with different issues around kind of like the Take a Hike group. It's how are we going to do this moving forward? How do we do it equitably? And how do we support one another in each of our communities as we're seeing some of these programs that affect all of us? And then also in regards to the haves and have-nots in regards to capital investments to maintain our sporting venues that we've had for history. So,
okay, Director Gilbert, and then Monteith.
Yeah, thanks through the chair, and I appreciate the conversation. I'm going to support this as well because, you know, as what's been, you know, said around here is we have kids and youth going to different communities to play sports and to be a part of it, and I think it's going to be a benefit. It's always, you know, as someone who grew up playing baseball, I always loved going to, you know, different, you know, fields outside of my district to play tournaments, to have those big signs up there, and it just creates that atmosphere that I think is beneficial to every single kid that's going to go there play. In regards to, I appreciate the talk too of like how we're going to do this regionally. And you know, I look at the model that happened in Penticton in regards to, you know, when it came to our nonprofits that were, you know, at 100 More Homes, where they brought the groups together at a big table, and they talked about how do we move these funds from all these different grants from the city to the province to be able to fund all the programs that needed to happen in there. And I think that kind of needs to happen here, where can we get these groups together to see how do we get those funds and get them to talk to each other. And I think it'd be a really good project. I don't know how that would roll out through the RDOS, but I think that's where it needs to happen, is let them lead the conversation, because what we saw in that group is that even though some of the groups really wanted the money, they knew that it was a priority to get other groups money as well. And we'd probably see that within it, is how do we have all the sports organizations, you know, hopefully come together and talk about, you know, how do we shift granting money or and resource each other to be able to ensure that, you know, we have you know, players going to Princeton, going to, Caramias, or going up to Summerland. And it's also too, it's an economic benefit for all of us as well. If we have parents going throughout the region, because they're going to probably go to the restaurants that are there and support the local businesses in those communities too. So I agree that I'm going to be voting for this. And also too, I think, I'd like to see what type of regional approach that we have to rec.
Okay, Director Monteith?
Thank you. I have a two-part question. Number one, with it being a regional project, what is the regional, is the regional district branded as part of this project, or is their logo included? What does that look like? First question.
Don't know if we know that answer, but CAO?
Anything that the taxpayer pays, as far as I'm concerned, has our logo on there.
Okay.
So I think that needs to be made very clear.
Yes.
Okay. Number two, as the property, is it owned by the District of Summerland? Is the District of Summerland prepared to maintain, repair if there's vandalism, all of those sort of things? Like, I don't hear Summerland fighting for this. So I guess I'm looking for some guidance. Does Summerland, do you guys have a different plan? Is this it feels disjointed. It feels like we're all supporting it, but I just need to hear Summerland on board.
Go to Summerland. Director Holmes?
Yeah, we'd be responsible for maintaining it.
Yeah. Well, they've committed to 185,000.
We're supportive of the whole project. I mean, yeah, we put in $185,000. So, we're,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
if you guys want to kick in for our scoreboard, that's great. We haven't budgeted for a scoreboard. So.
Director Roberts?
Thank you through the chair. Just following up on Director Monteith there. I think I saw on their plan for the scoreboard sponsored by Space. I'm assuming that's where we would put the regional district logo and information.
We can ask for. CAO?
It seems that this discussion could be something deferred and moved over to an in-camera discussion when we discuss the FTEs. Just making a recommendation, just so that all the facts can become out.
Okay. Is there a desire to have anything in this specifically in camera, Director Holmes?
I don't think it's necessary. We're not being coy or anything. It's part of it. It's difficult for us, for me anyway, because I kind of feel it's a Summerland project, and I think there should be a regional decision. And so I don't really feel like I should be a salesperson, and every project should stand on its own merits. And so I don't, the council, we support it. That's, it's, I think $185,000 ought to speak for itself, right? So.
Absolutely. Director Barkwell, and then I'll go to Johansson.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. My bias would be obvious, so I'm not going to say too much about it other than, Summerland support. We've supported it in a big way. It was kind of hard to find $185,000 in the middle of the year out of your budget. But, and I'm really pleased to hear the regional aspects of it, and everybody would be coming to Summerland and wishing they lived there probably.
Director Johansson.
Just a quick comment. All these ball diamonds, all these arenas, they are regional. As somebody who's coached, who's had a son play baseball, and played hockey and all the different sports that go with it. We travel, and myself, when I lived in Penticton, going up to play fastball in Summerland, it is regional. We travel, we play sports everywhere. And I agree, we need to look at ways to support the communities in our region when they are having challenges keeping facilities open that are used by everybody. Thank you.
Okay. So it sounds like there's reasonable support. I'll ask for a show. Do you have something new to add, Director Roberts?
Yeah, through the chair. I do get, there's another concern, right? I know, especially if the rural directors might as well put it out there, because again, we look at when we're talking about fair and equitable, it's for instance, Summerland
with great difficulty had to pull up that money. If it's in one of our rural areas, we can't. Like, that's just not going to happen. So whatever we do in the future, it's not going to be the same as if we're in Penticton or Oliver, Osoya, some of the larger municipalities, even Princeton. As rural directors, how we can bring back the golden age of baseball in our communities where we have our resource, or we have, like, I have 2 outdoor, area G, B, and the village has an outdoor rink that people are coming from and just enjoying it, but it's going to be a multi-million-dollar replacement. And as a community, we don't really have that money. So there's, when we're talking about the conversation moving forward, I'm really happy with keeping, having this there, because I think we need to have further discussion, and I think we need to discuss, what these things look like. Because again, Princeton's got a great ball diamond and arena. We got all these different things, but how do we do it fair, and how do we spread it around? Because again, you're not going to see, the people from Headley really being able to support the swimming pool in Penticton, though they may come and pay a bill, right? Or come out there every once in a while. So how do we do that is going to be the question moving forward. Thank you.
Okay, so generally, there seems to be support for it. So we'll see, just to be sure, there's a show of hands for those supporting the full 50 at this stage. If we can get hands up high so they're easy enough to count. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It carries at this stage. Carries. Thanks. It was more than well above the 50%. And I think that ends this portion of it. And I believe it's lunch break, correct? But just before we go to lunch, I would just want to point out to the board that this is temporary, tentative maybe is the word. We're supportive or non-supportive of some of these applications, but to anybody listening, that may change in the future. So don't bank on that amount yet. All right, thanks, and we'll break for lunch.
What time would you like to start after lunch?
What time is it now? 10 after? Give us the half an hour tops.
Just waiting for the presentation.
Good.
Just waiting for the presentation. It's got to pop up.
Okay. As soon as the presentation's up, I'm going to turn it over to Wayne, and he will carry on from where we left off. So over to you, Wayne.
All right. There you go. Click it. Okay, so we did the grant and aid. So we're on the full-time equivalency request. So the first one we'd already talked about on here, it's called the Senior Energy Specialist, but they changed the name to concierge, retrofit concierge administrator, but it's the same exact same role. They just changed the name of it. The cybersecurity network security analyst will be covered in the closed meeting coming up after we go through these. Parks and facilities attendant, we had an overview of that. And now we are on administration finance, and that will be through Noel. Let me get to her slide here.
So finance, we're asking for a half-time administrative assistant. Just to fill you in, the department has never had any administrative help at all. Most of our positions just do the administrative tasks. They're on their own. Workloads steadily increasing with adding water systems and sewer systems, grant administration and applications, fleet increases certainly have been adding to workloads. So many of our positions are at capacity. Rather than asking for a higher level position. We're thinking that a half-time admin role would help us just remove all the administrative tasks off all the other positions and free up their time for more core work or project work.
Okay, I'll check with the board if they have any questions on this specific request. Go ahead, Director Roberts.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. With a halftime, how easy would that be to fill? Like, again, we know that FTEs, is this something that you would pull from some other administrative position that's a halftime, or is this going to be looking for someone to hire for a part-time job?
Very likely it would be looking for someone for a half-time job, and we do realize that's sometimes challenging, certainly. Potentially there are people that are looking for, it could be working parents, that would like to work right in the middle of the day so they can drop kids off and pick them up. So we're hoping to maybe tap into that pool of people.
Okay, Director Monteith, question?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Area I doesn't have any water systems or sewer. So I guess I'm curious why my budget amount is very comparable with others that do.
So there are small percentages that have been allocated to the utility systems, landfills, but we do still have, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure what the percentage was, but an amount for general government and EA admin, because they will be performing various administrative duties in our department, not just specific to utilities.
Okay, follow up, Director Monteith.
Thank you. So maybe I don't clearly understand. What are some examples of what they would do?
We've got taxation receipts that we have to do for donations. We could have some cross training where if someone's away for an extended period of time where they're doing some backup help. Our utilities person and our cash receiving person and our accounts payable person are absolutely maxed out. So having this additional person for part of a day or so many days per week would just give us that extra room for some breathing room for these other positions so they can do more of their work and less of the administrative work.
And if I may add, they also could be back in the payroll, which affects the whole organization, and accounts receivable, and that also affects the organization. So they'd be a backup to the various positions. So that's why everyone has to pay a portion.
Any other questions?
Just to give more clarity too, on this role is primarily, the example on here is running through general government. So that's why Area I has a portion of this role, because it's running through the general government wages, and Area I pays a percentage of general government. So that's the reason why all the areas have that percentage. It's based on your allocation of general government. And it's to the assessed value of your areas that gets applied to.
Okay, Director Taylor?
I guess I would just wonder if it wouldn't be calling a spade to put them more into and dedicate them towards utility type stuff where you've got high volume, where they could likely get in and really spend a chunk of time and not have them working on things that have much smaller volume but are applicable to all areas.
Go ahead, Noel.
So there certainly are portions, and I believe it might have been 2% for each utility system is what we allocated this person to. But the larger portion really is electoral area admin and general government, because of the backup and providing that admin support to all of our positions, so our accountant positions, not doing that administrative work anymore. So it's not just the utilities clerk.
Okay. All right. I think we can deal with that one after as well. Next one.
So the next one is a scale attendant, and Kyle and Alan will be talking on this one.
Good afternoon, Chair, Directors. Thank you for considering our FTE request today. So FTE 2026-5 is related to the Karamias Transfer Station. The funding request is just over 17,581. And essentially we're trying to achieve two things with this request. My understanding is that back in 2020, we adjusted the hours for the transfer station from 4 to 6 hours. However, the budget was never formally adjusted since then, so we're correcting that now. Additionally, for 2026, we're proposing another 2 hours to be open based on user demand, so from 6 to 8 hours. So the request before you is to address the historical issue, but also for asking for further hours because of the demand at the transfer station, and it is funded through user fees. So there is no taxation impact for this request.
Okay, Director Roberts.
Thank you through the chair. In regards to extra hours, now I believe we had a discussion sometime this year about maintaining the Wednesday during the winter, or as a pilot project or something. Is that tied into some of these hours, or is this just more hours, like when we get to the winter, that's going to shut down to 1 day, but 2 hours longer, or some other kind of configuration? Because again, I remember there was going to be some study that was going to be looking at, because the community has been asking for it to stay that way for Wednesday.
Staff, can you?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did a survey. We did a survey for all the users of the transfer station, and it was a mixed bag. Everybody wanted it to be open another day, but nobody indicated they didn't want to pay for it. So working with staff, we feel that a couple of things, an extra 2 hours, we'll try it again this year and see if it makes a difference, because there is an increased demand for it. Also, it helps us with staff retention. It's difficult to get someone to go to Karamias for 6-hour shift. This is an 8-hour shift. So yeah, we did the survey, and we can get the results to you. But yeah, we'll have to see how this year goes. So we're hoping for 8 hours will make a difference.
Okay. Not seeing any other questions on this. Thank you for that. We'll move on to the next one.
Right, the next one is Cemeteries and Parks Clerk. And that will be Justin and Mark.
Good afternoon. Thank you. So this is a 6-month term position we're presenting. Really, the intent is to give back the cemetery of OK Falls in better shape than it is. So it's to support a project, to do some housekeeping work, and communicate with some families with some challenges that are presented with us at that cemetery. This work will, by extension, streamline or standardize some of our documentation in our other cemetery that we operate in Naramata. So there is some accounting for that as well. I did present kind of a picture just to illustrate the challenges we have in those cemetery. The grid pattern at the top is what a cemetery should look like. The lines below are the rows and actuals of historical burials in the cemetery. That is just the top. That's where the headstones are. We do not know what's underneath or where. I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Okay, any discussion or questions on this? Director Federico?
Thank you through the chair. Will any of this be recouped? I mean, this might sound horrible, but I don't know what our death rate is and how many people are coming in annually for any of those costs to kind of help contribute to this. And then in our breakdown, it speaks to regional trails wages. So if you could just touch on that, that'd be great.
Staff?
Certainly. So the regional trails component of this, just again, we're doing bigger picture stuff. I was just trying to round out a position of 6 months. There's some work through Trans-Canada Trail, TODA, some other agencies, based on the last time I sat in front of you and we talked about the trail between Cleedon and Summerland that I need some admin help for. So I rounded out the position with that in mind. User fees at the cemetery, there might be a small margin of profit. Again, kind of tough to say in that venue, but it wouldn't be enough to offset kind of project costs or these one-off costs unless we were to significantly increase the fees related to that.
Follow up, go ahead.
Thank you. Follow up to that then. A few years ago, kind of asked for a business case or business plan for the cemetery. And I know there's been chatter on like looking at what other cemeteries are charging for plots. Would this person then kind of tackle something like that, that we could build out a business case or look at our fees?
Go ahead.
Certainly would be something that would we would do through that position, but it's also something we're doing with our current staff operationally as a best practice.
Okay, Director Taylor?
Yeah, I just don't follow the math. The notes say that OK Falls would be paying for 70% of it, which we are. Regional Trails looks like it's paying about 10% of it, but I don't see that Area E is paying 30%. 30% of 40 grand would be around 12 grand, and you've only got 8 grand allocated there.
So these are based on taxation limits. So Area D would be paying more than 70% because they're paying a portion of the regional trails end of things. So that's why it doesn't allocate exactly out to 70, 30, and 10. You have to combine all the taxation that Area D gets from this position.
70, 30, and 10 is 110%. We're only dealing with 100%, so it'd be 70, 20, and 10.
That actually makes more sense too.
Yeah.
Thank you. Farmer Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the answer I'm looking for. Yeah.
Okay, Director Barkwell?
Thank you, Chair. It says it's the position is intended to be filled by a co-op student or part-time term employee, or part-time term. That would be like half-time, quarter-time, so not full-time term for a period of 4 months or longer. But it has $40,000. So if it's in the budget here, 41,000 approximately. So isn't that a lot of money for like a 4-month position? Just how long is it going to be the position for? And is it for this year only, or is it, because in the schedule here, it seems to carry on year after year, 40,000 plus.
Go to staff.
It's certainly not intended to go beyond this year unless the municipality of Okanagan Falls chooses to. This is just a one-time housekeeping position for this. Term is a little bit variable. If we target a student, we work within somebody that would be in that field and during their time off school period, but there is a little bit of an overage there, I can see.
And then in regards to the $40,979, that includes all overhead as well to the wage. Labor load, I believe they call it.
So that's still like $10,000 a month if it's a part-time. That, well, maybe you won't spend it all.
No. Labor load actually adds up when you consider all the extras that go with it, but anything further on this? Not seeing any hands, so thank you. We will deal with it later. Next one.
And then the last position asked was brought up at the last board meeting by electoral area directors. And some would like to see an electoral area admin coordinator. So this request would be funded by only the electoral areas. And it's for a point person to support area director inquiries and help facilitate projects.
So if I might add to this, this was asked by directors, specific directors, if we can put this on. Ultimately, the 9 directors will, for the electoral areas, would be paying for this position. It is exactly, when if you go back to the, yeah. So essentially, it is requested from the directors, as I stated, a point person to support the area director inquiries and help coordinate any of the specific projects. I would recommend, if the board is serious about considering this, it'd be a term position to see how it would work after 1 year reevaluate it. And that's something we can discuss in camera.
Okay, any questions on this? Director Taylor?
I'm in support of it. At the same time, I'm thinking, okay, that means Area D would get 1/10 of that, 1/9 of it. So that's an afternoon a week. And so these things are all incremental, and like I said, I'm in support of it, but at the same time, it's hard to see how would that person really deliver value for Area D. And I guess I'm talking out loud here, but the answer I'm coming up with is it probably isn't going to benefit Area D all that much. It's going to benefit electoral areas as a whole. And yeah.
Yeah, CAO?
So I don't anticipate, if this does go through, where it's going to be everyone has a specific percentage. It's as needed. And if I could use 2026 as an example, there was 2 specific projects that probably took 80% of the staff's time. And we're still working on it. So each year it would change if it goes from a term to a full-time.
Would I go ahead, Director Taylor, and then I've got a question as well.
Yeah, I'm just wondering also, would that individual likely be the staff person for the committee? And planning people would come to it and they'd basically be the support person for that committee. Is that right?
CAO?
Possibly. It's something that we would learn as we go. Because that's why I'm recommending a term position. With this request, it would go along with the electoral area committee that is being proposed. It's going to come to the board. It would be something that would be work coordinated with that. Thing that's going to be a challenge is that you do have the one employee concept, and that person would not be considered your direct employee. It still would be going through staff, and I would recommend that it be going under the corporate officer.
Okay. Any other questions? Not seeing any hands, but I had the one, if the individual is probably going to be working on specific larger projects, should they not be then just billed to those projects versus the entire electoral areas? CAO?
Yes and no. Yes, in that if it's very specific, it would be charged directly to that project. If it's general, where it affects all of you or a portion of you, it'd be electoral area admin. But the budget at first, if this goes through, we would have to go back and look at the strategic priorities and take a look at how many projects each of the 9 areas have, and probably reallocate it. And that's what I would recommend, reallocate it based on your original request. But there's also would be some, I'm assuming, core work. That core work would go to the general electoral admin.
Okay. Makes sense. Anything further? Okay, I think that was the last of the PCR requests, but
That's
is
the
there
last of the FTEs.
Oh, FTEs?
Yeah, so now we would have to move into, so, no.
Are we going to continue on, or should we deal with these first?
It's up to the board if you want to deal with it in close and then come out and give us the results, or
Well, we still have the cybersecurity,
if that's gonna be
Okay.
closed, right?
but that's I believe that's gonna be enclosed.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna be doing. I recommend enclosed now, and then you can
Okay.
make the decisions after that.
So looking for a motion to go in closed, moved and seconded, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? We are getting the opportunity to go closed. You were opposed, okay? One was opposed, Director Gilbert. Just back to you to move forward.
Okay. So we will start the program change requests. We're only gonna go to 4 today, so do you guys need a break, or do you want to just go right through?
Till 4 o'clock, he meant.
The fourth program change. Nice. Why don't you just say, does anybody have a problem with any of the changes?
Sometimes,
So how would you like to proceed? Do you want to break now, or do you want to go right to 4, or?
I'm not sure what was
You
our,
guys said 3?
our agenda said.
Okay, well then then we'll just do till 3 then. Sorry?
Let's go till 3
I
that it
had-
said.
I had both workshops from 9 to 4, but if you want to go 9 to 3, that's fine. It's up to you guys. You
Yep.
drive the bus. Yeah.
So let's go till then, 3.
Okay, so we had some FTE early approvals, but again, those will be for first reading, not for workshop. So we'll start with the program change requests. Just clicking on my notes here. So there's 3 types of program change requests, as I said earlier. The first type highlights operational expenses which were included in the budget, which make a service above the 4% maximum increase, but are considered operationally required, and I'll point those ones out. The second type are expenses that were moved proactively from the budget to keep the services in the 4% maximum level, and they are considered optional, which I'll point those ones out. And then the third are brand new changes to the level of service brought forward by either directors or managers. So this is just a main list of them. Program change requests 1 through 9 are regarding vehicle replacement reserves. Number 10 and 11 are external contracts. Those ones are operationally required. 12, 13, 14, 15, and 17, again, are operational costs, which are deemed needed. PCR 18 is to do with the Oliver District Heritage Contract, which is above the 4%. PCR 19 is the 100 Homes Initiative brought forward by Penticton.
We discuss these as we come to them, or what?
I'm just doing the overview,
Okay.
and then we'll go through each one, and then you can make a decision at the end on how we want to do it.
Perfect.
The 100 Homes Initiative will be talked about in the November 20th board meeting. That's when you can ask questions and get details on that, and you can decide for the second workshop meeting whether you want to include that or not. PCR 20 is Loose Bay, operational, but it's a new one. 21 to 28 are regarding capital reserves. 29 is the new Skaha Estates Park. Program 30 is court bookings in Caledon. 31 and 32 are capital reserves, and then there's some program change requests for the next ones for mainly Caribeus area. And then the last one was for capital reserves for Narmada Water to try and bring those up to standard. All right, so we'll start with 1 to 9. So this stemmed from the strategic priority to find fleet efficiencies for the organization. And so we had to look at policies. And the first one we looked at was the asset policy. The asset policy says in area 6.2A, the RDOS asset management decision-making will consider the needs of both current and future generations. So that points forward to that we shouldn't carry the burden on everything with this generation if the next generation is going to benefit from it. So we take that into consideration when we're putting forward the reserve. And then 6.4 4 talks about long-term projections of investment needs. So that kind of sets the boundary on where we need to go with it. The reserve management policy says that equipment replacement reserve will be 50% of the accumulated depreciation, and many of our services do not have that level currently. Going again to the revenue policy, it dictates, sets maximum amounts for the operational budget, which is the minimum of 15% of the operational expenses to a maximum of 20%. And those are to be used for unexpected non-recurring costs. Capital reserves have a minimum of 3 years of budgeted projects to a maximum of 5 years. So bearing those in mind, we looked at our vehicle replacement policy and used the useful life metrics off of our condition assessments. So vehicles that go over 20 kilometers a year will usually last around 10 years and so on. And so fire trucks are 25 years, being that they're a big investment, and trailers are also 25 years. When we take those percentages and apply them to the cost of the vehicles, we recognize that a lot of our services don't have enough money in it to meet the standards that the policy set. So we've pulled these out of the budget because when we add these in, it puts those services over the 4%. So the board can decide whether to add these, to ramp them in gradually, or not include them at all. So the first PCR was emergency management. So they have 2 Tiger Dam trailers, a mobile command center, 2 duty trucks, and 1 Fire Smart vehicle. And they need about $19,300 a year in order to keep pace with the vehicle replacement reserve. PCR 2 was the fire department in OK Falls. So they needed about $13,200 to keep pace. Now the difference with the fire departments is only the people in the fire district pay for that reserve. So when we increase the reserves $13,200, that equates to about $5.61 per year for the people in Okanagan Falls fire area. PCR 3 is the fire department for Colmont Tulameen, and that's only $6,700 a year, but that equates to $10.20 per property. And then if you look at Willowbrook, it's $32,000 a year, and that works out to $188 a year per resident. So this is where the board may decide to ramp it in so that the people aren't feeling the pinch. And the other thing too is even if we put this amount of money away, when it does come by time to buy a new vehicle or a used vehicle, we may still have to borrow in order to make that amount happen.
Okay. Director.
So I'm just going to go through 5 through 9, and then we can take questions here because these are just mainly the fire departments.
Okay.
Number 5 was Caledon, so they need about $49,000 to make the goals we've set, and that's about $70 a year per household. Narmada is $58,000, which is about $42 per household. Anarchist Mountain, $45,000, it's about $100. And then we've got PCR 8, which is building inspection, which they need about $7,500. And again, that's split up between multiple areas, so it's not as large a hit. And then mosquito control is everybody except for Penticton Indian Band, and that shows a little bit of a difference. So we'll start with that and see if there's any questions.
Okay, Director Chahal, I had first.
Yeah, just a question for Wayne. That $32,268 in Willowbrook, what was that for?
That's for their fire truck, their pumper truck, their command duty truck, their structure protection trailer. So what we did is we took all the fleet assets that they have, took the dollar amount they paid for them, applied the useful life to them, and then that came up with how much they needed to have in their reserve yearly to be able to replenish it. And like for fire trucks, it'd be 25 years. So in year 24, they would have $600,000 in there for that fire truck, but the fire truck will be 1.2, so you'll have to still borrow 600,000 or whatever the case may be.
So that's important to note. Those amounts are annually. That's to
Yeah.
stay in there each year from here on in.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when a new vehicle comes up, however much they spent on that gets extrapolated over the lifetime,
it
and
will
then that
change
would be
again.
the
Yeah.
change, yeah.
Okay, Director Monteith, and then Federico.
Thank you. So I have two questions. So number one, I just spoke with I was texting with the Area I Fire Chief Clayton. He has 80,000 in his reserve this year. Was that taken into consideration for this?
Yes, because he has 80,000, but he also probably has $3 million of trucks.
Okay.
So if you go 3 million over 25 years, it's quite a bit more.
Okay. So
Not, I don't mean that to sound rude. Sorry, I heard laughter. I didn't mean it to come across like that, but yeah, it gets quite serious where you could be.
It's a lot of money.
okay, so he has a long-term plan for his fire department, putting money away because he has other competing projects. Just replacing a brand new fire truck, they don't need to do that right now. They've got other things that they're doing. By imposing this on them, we're implementing other we're putting their projects that they have back, right? When he's already taken the time to make a plan for the service.
Yep.
Have we communicated with the fire chiefs about this?
No, this is an internal analysis of our.
If I could just interrupt, I think this is up to us right now, whether we want this on. This isn't staff telling you this is what you have to do. This is what you need to do to get there, but how do you want to do it? Or do you want to do it at all? Is
So-
up to us.
Sorry, I'm uncomfortable doing this when I know my fire chief has already put a plan in place. And number two, as I have two fire departments, Apex is not in here. So they have a secondhand fire truck. It's going to expire in 10 years. So, and they have no plan to replace that.
Right, but Apex's operational budget has an amount in there that they're already
Probably
doing for
sufficient.
vehicle replacement, which matches what we anticipated. So that's why they're not an extra on here. It's already in their operational budget. See, with Kalina, and we'll just use Kalina as an example, they've got an aging fire hall. How much will that cost to bring up to standard whenever they do it? Now, Clayton is very fiscally responsible, and they use a lot of their extra revenue they get from forestry work and stuff like that. They use that to pay for new infrastructure. So when we take a look at the whole plan, yes, they have decent reserves. In 5 years, 10 years, when they go to do $3 million project, we'll have to borrow more. So it depends on, and Jim would like to say something.
No.
Yeah, so it depends on how you want to smooth out the taxation curve.
Yeah. I'm going to go to Director Monteith, but we've got a long line here of speakers, so don't get worried if I don't jump to you next.
Thank
Director
you.
Connie.
I'm really uncomfortable doing this without the fire chief being a part of it, knowing that he's put a plan in. So I don't want this to proceed unless the fire chief is well aware of this process. And yeah, I'm curious what.
CAO?
And that's a decision that you're allowed to make as a director.
CAO, you wanted to comment?
This plan is not coming from the chiefs. This plan is coming from our fleet analysis that we were asked on the strategic tracker, and this is the results of that. We have the chief's plan in the capital budget technically.
So
But it's only a 5-year plan versus.
I just needed to verify something. All the fire departments have the same rules and requirements that the managers back here have. And that's if they have a plan, it is to be included in the 5-year plan, which then Wayne then would take that and extrapolate what is needed. So if the chief is telling the director he's got a plan, it should be, if he's done it correctly, in the 5-year plan that you have. As you stated, Chair, what this is for the directors to determine if what Wayne is recommending is what you want, or if you want to amend it. So if the director wants to talk to the chief first, then that could be deferred. However, whatever is recommended here has to be what the chief already has in his plan. And if he didn't, then there's something wrong and we need to talk.
Okay, so you're wanting to defer it until you,
I would like it to be removed, and then if it's to be added, we can do that another date, but I don't want this going forward.
okay. Director Taylor?
I just want to get my head around this. I think you're saying that given the capital we've got in our fire department, we should be putting another 56,000 a year over the next 5 years into our reserves. But that'll take us over 4%. So to keep it under 4%, you're suggesting 13. Is that?
No,
Okay, I knew I hadn't.
the
got it.
fire services are all at around 4% increase for the year. They have transfers in their reserves currently for their plans. These 9 asks are additionally to what's in the budgets currently in order to bring them up to the standard that we have anticipated through our fleet analysis. So if the fire chiefs have already have plans and how they're managing their reserves, that plan will still stay intact. If the board decides that they want to have vehicle reserves to the fleet analysis levels, then that's when these would be added to the budget. Right now, these are not in the budget. The fire chief's plans are in the budget currently. I don't know if that makes more sense.
It does, but I just have a quick question in regards to the fleet analysis. Was that not shared with the chiefs previously to work into their budget? Or is this something after they've put their budgets in that was analyzed and
Well, the analysis has been taking place for quite a while, but the final results of this didn't show up until after the chiefs had their budget in. So I haven't had.
okay. Oh, that just makes sense. So I'll let Director Taylor make his decision in or out at the moment.
Still asking then, you'd want me to add 13 grand or 56 grand for area D? Because the longer write-up that's in the budget package talks about 56 grand.
Area D is PCR2.
13.
So it's 13,200.
Okay, but in the longer dialogue piece that's in the budget package, it talks about 56 grand
Which
in the dialogue.
So 56,000 is the yearly amount Okanagan Falls needed. Of that 56,000, 13,200 is over the 4%. So currently in the 2026 budget, there's $37,000 going into the vehicle replacement reserve.
And this is the extra.
Okay.
And this is the extra to get you to that level.
Okay, that helps me. Thank you.
In or out? Just a quick. In for now, okay. Next one, Director Federico, and then to Coyne.
Super quick. I'm going to leave mine in for now, but I am going to talk with my fire chief because I do see in his 5-year plan, he has a different number throughout the years. So that's steep for this year. So I will chat with him.
Okay. Director Coyne, you had.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of money in our fire department the last couple of years. We just bought a brand new fire truck. It hopefully will get delivered this spring. The price that we bought it at was just under 800,000. If to buy that today would be about $1 million. We just built a fire hall before we even got to put shovels in the ground. The cost went up by $500,000. So I'm just going to caution everybody, don't be rash on this. If this is asset management, this is what we ask staff to do. Remember that, because it is getting more and more expensive to replace our fire apparatus. So don't cut yourself short, because if we don't have our trucks that are certified, we're not doing fire protection.
Okay. Director Gilbert.
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I just want a clarification here because it's not in our region, but I just feel like there was a conversation before in regards to directors going around the CEO and talking to staff. Like we have a 1 employee policy here, and now we're saying that we're going to talk to fire chiefs. Like I don't talk to my fire chief I talked to my CAO to figure out the budget. So I'm just kind of curious, like where, like where we are here because
CAO?
I got a meeting with the chiefs on this tomorrow. Because one of the things that the chiefs have a different relationship with the directors. And to me, I'll be honest, they're abusing it. We do have the unemployed policy and they need to go through me first. And then I can have a meeting with the director if they have a problem and the chiefs. And in most cases, it's happening, but not in all cases.
And I guess this is where it gets a little bit gray maybe, but it's no different though a director going and talking to their fire chief than it is the director going and talking to one of the other managers. That's where the gray area is. Maybe we need to
And the
get the direction there.
And there was a PowerPoint presentation that talked about the one employee concept where directors can talk to managers. They can talk to the fire chiefs. But when it starts to talk about budgets and policies, that's a little different. Then I need to know what's going on to make sure that everything is run correctly. I'm responsible ultimately if something goes right. I'll give the credit to the staff. If something goes wrong, I wear it. And in this case here, if they're going over the head of staff and I don't know what's going on, it's not, I can't guarantee that it's right. So it would be greatly appreciated is if they start talking to you about they have a 5 or 10, whatever plan, that I know about it because then my CFO and CFO and deputy CFO will know about it too.
Okay, follow up, Director Gilbert?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. I just think like to me, it's just about being fair to staff, our CAO. Like if we're having conversations with staff and having some information, we're trying to have gotcha moments here where we're now putting staff under saying, oh, well, I talked to staff and they have this plan. Do you know about that? It's, have that conversation with your CAO, if you're do that. I think it's inappropriate to be bringing it up on a director table like this, kind of having the gotcha moments with staff because it makes it antagonistic at this table between staff and the directors.
Okay. Director Bloomfield?
Just a suggestion on the outside looking in, and we deal with these situations from time to time at the city, but I remember when the relationship between the fire chiefs and the regional district broke down completely a few years ago. Wouldn't it be better to have the fire chief come into the office and have the conversation about their budget with the area director and the CAO at the same time, just so that everybody's on the same page? Because otherwise, one gets played against the other somewhere, and it breaks down.
It's not unreasonable, especially now with the video conferencing makes it pretty simple.
So I can only speak on my experience, and we'll just use Cleedon as an example. Cleedon is very fiscally run responsibly. The chief and the director have a very good communication between them, and they communicate it quite well to me. Yes, the chief has a plan on how he wants to do the fire hall, and he's planning for reserves. But from my analysis, there's not enough reserves in the fund to do those plans when we get to them. He does have 5-year capital plans, and it is in the 5-year capital budget. He has plans past the 5 years, and we've talked about the 10-year plan and so on. But with the costs of things going up and the lack of wildfire revenue and things like that, to make the plans work, you either have to have more reserves, or when it's time to do the plan, you'll have to borrow more money, which either way, the taxpayer in that area will have to foot the bill.
Okay. Director Monteith?
And thank you through the chair. So that's the other side of it, is that the director is well connected to the community, and the director knows that there's a very likely pending large donation coming to the fire department that the fire chief is working. So there's things that are happening behind the scenes that help a fire chief make their 5-year, 10-year plan, right? So I just want the fire chief to be able to follow it with his plan. If it needs to be changed, it can be changed, but he has to be a part of the process.
Okay. Director Coyne, I think that was...
I just want clarity. This is above and beyond the 5-year plan, is it not?
Yes, this is to ensure that we have enough for the fleet replacement at the time.
Okay. Which is,
And again, we won't have the full amount at the end of the 25 years. If it's based on this plan, we would still have to borrow money at that 25 year, but that's where the user of tomorrow will have to pay.
yeah, and just for the record, for area A's and the fire department there, keep it in for now. Anybody else on this? Otherwise, where are we at? We're past our time here. Anything else you need to, any specific yeses or nos you need on the rest of these?
No, we can hold off this until next workshop meeting. So we'll pick it up on program change request number 10.
Okay. We'll leave it there unless there's a final question on this. Okay, well, thank you everybody for attending, and thanks Wayne and the rest of staff for everything.
Thank you, board.
We'll see you guys next meeting next Thursday. Adjourned.